Welcome to the program. My name is Brian Craig, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. Welcome, one and all. And, there's one thing that the left and the fake news media do not want you to know, and that is that Donald Trump, the United States won the war against Iran on day one. And what I'm going to start with today is this media pro-Iranian propaganda campaign that's going on to try to convince the American people that not only have we lost the war, that it's hopeless, and that the Iranians are on the move and gaining strength. And that's going to be what I lead with today, because the media are, well, they're disgusting. So stand by, and we're going to cover all of this and more on today's program. And of course, if you want to call in, the number's toll free and it's pinned in the live chat. Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig, and you are listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. And we've got a lot to cover this morning, so I'm going to get right into it. Number one, contrary to what the media want you to believe, the United States won the war against Iran on day one. And I'm going through the news this morning, and everywhere I go in the news, I'm seeing nothing but reports that show that we're losing, that it's hopeless for the United States, and that Iran is, they've got all these weapons coming and everything's going well, and they're on the move and gaining strength. This is textbook Goebbels-like propaganda, right? And at the end of the Second World War, when Berlin was surrounded, they're still putting out reports that the Russian and Allied armies are on retreat, and these new weapons and secret weapons and newly developed weapons, and they're, this is nonsense, okay? And I'll go through a couple of these stories. There's a big one that's made its way outside of the liberal, Trump-hating, America-hating fake news media. This one's even in Breitbart. Iran expecting delivery of 400 Chinese soldier-fired missiles. And when you get into the story, the Chinese, they say they're delivering 400 shoulder-fired missiles, I guess like the old RPGs. And it's being done through some company in Hong Kong. Okay? Give me a break. And then you have these other stories that have been going on for days, that the United States, that we are running out of missiles. We're running low on ammo. We're running low on missiles. Some stories, I even read one story that was on the Drudge Report. Yeah, the Drudge Report still exists. Remember when the Drudge Report used to be relevant? But the Drudge Report, they have a story that even gave a number on how few rockets we have left. Well, first of all, how do these people in the media know how many rockets and missiles and how much ammo the United States have? That is classified top secret intel that they don't have information with. But just to back up my premise here, that the Trump derangement suffering anti-American fake news media are spreading this propaganda. Over the past 3 or 4 days, I have seen endless stories showing that we are running out of missiles. And the only story I hear about missiles with Iran is how they're rearming and having missiles shipped to them. Does that even make sense to you? Right? Between the United States and Iran, which country is most likely running out of rockets? The United States or Iran? I want you to think about that for a minute. Number one, we're blowing up, each one of our rockets blows up multiple rockets of theirs. They're not able to manufacture new ones, right? We are, and we have stockpiles all over the planet, and who knows how many we just have in storage here in the homeland, in the United States. The story on the face of it is absurd. And when you hear the left talk about the United States running low on ammo, which is something I've even had calls from liberals on the phones here. There's no way that any liberal could have any idea how many rockets, missiles, or how much ammunition the United States has in our arsenal. Okay? There's just no way you could know that. Those aren't things you can Google or ask Chat GPT about. Okay? That's highly classified information. But I'll tell you, when I've heard Democrats, the ones that call me, or hearing people, on television and online, when they talk about the United States running low on rockets and ammo, they're all giddy and excited. They have smile in their voice. It gives them energy to think that the United States is running low on ammunition. What does that say about you? The media, since the war in Vietnam, the media have been against every war that we've been in. When I say against, I don't mean that they're peaceniks. But there's been one exception, which is the Gulf War in 1991. But other than the Gulf War in 1991, any conflict the United States has been involved in since the war in Vietnam, the left, the fake news media, the Democrats are always rooting for the other side in these wars. What does that say about you as people, as Americans? There used to be this understanding. It was an unwritten rule that we had in the United States. And this went for elected officials in the government, that in both parties, but it's gone out the window because liberals have no integrity, no class, and they're just evil people, Democrats. But the debate over wars, over military conflicts, used to end once you had American military personnel in harm's way, right? Sometimes the boots on the ground term would be used, right? But once there could be a debate on a conflict, but once the conflict actually starts and there's U.S. service personnel in harm's way, the debate stops and you support the military. Well, they don't do that anymore. And they don't do it for a lot of reasons. I mean, in general, the Democrats have always been the hate America first crowd, even before Trump came down the escalator. But now the Democrat Party has been taken over by foreigners, right? We've got all these foreigners like Mamdani and Abdul and all these people around the country. They're foreigners who are running for office for the purpose of destroying the country as we know it. So we have the hate America first crowd in the Democrat Party taken over by foreigners, and that's the way it is. But no, we won the war on day one. We are not low on ammunition. We are not low on rockets or weapons. The Iranians, they are. And we got some information from the president yesterday in the Oval Office press conference about these rockets. I was talking about this yesterday because it seems so odd with everything that's going on. These rockets that were launched at the U.S. base in Jordan. And he said it was a rogue person who did that. That wasn't like the Iranian government. It was some fanatic lunatic who had access to some rockets. But we shot them all down without effort, by the way, which in itself is amazing and shows how advanced the United States military is. After the Maduro raid, we learned that the United States military is about 35 to 40 years more advanced than any other military in the world. And none of them are even close to being a match to what we can offer. Now, I certainly would like to hear your thoughts on this. I've got a lot to cover. I am going to talk about the Fauci hearings and much more on the program, so stand by for that. But your calls are certainly welcome. The number's toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. I want to talk to those of you that suffer from neuropathy or have a family member suffering from neuropathy. You may even have neuropathy and don't even know it. And Lighthouse Medical in Pompano can test you and let you know whether or not you have it. But if you have numbness, pain, burning, tingling in your hands and feet, muscle weakness, loss of balance, you getting dizzy? Do you fall down on occasion? Do you have the feeling of pins and needles in your hands and feet? Maybe you have no feeling at all. If you have any of these symptoms, you very well may have neuropathy. And I'm here to tell you, Lighthouse Medical Center in Pompano have a treatment for neuropathy that works and lasts. I've seen it work not just on Steve Kane, but many people in this audience. And their neuropathy has not returned. Call Lighthouse Medical. The consultation is free if you mention you heard about them on the Steve Kane Show. 754-222-6642. 754-222-6642. That's 754-222-6642. And online, lighthousemedicalcenter.com. We'll take our first break of this Thursday and be right back. All right, we're clear. Now, I'll ask you guys this question. I mean, does it make sense to you? Now, think about this now. Does it make sense to you that the United States is running low on rockets, but not only is Iran not low, they're being rearmed? Come on. None of that makes sense. It's not even a credible thought. If you're on hold, stand by. I will take the calls. I'll go to the calls after the break. I got a lot to cover today. So if I move fast, I apologize, but there's so much going on. And, of course, the number to call is toll-free no matter where you are listening, all right? It is, and I'm pinning it in the live chat right now, it is 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are listening. And those of you that are new, welcome to the program. Make sure that you subscribe. This is where MAGA comes to talk, all right? And those of you that are already subscribed, if you could do me the favor of liking the video, guys. When you like the video, it helps so much because when you like the video, it gets the video recommended to people that have not yet found the channel. And you guys liking the video, it helps more than I can describe. It really does, and is greatly appreciated. So please like the video. But I will go to the phones when we get back from the break. We're in radio station break right now. But if you've noticed, now think about this now. If you've noticed since this aerial campaign began against Iran, who's the backer of over 90% of the Islamic terrorism around the world for the last half century, there haven't been mass Islamic terror attacks around the world. They don't have the ability to do this anymore, right? We had a massive bombing campaign that started last night again around 8 p.m. Eastern. The biggest problem that the United States is having with this air campaign against Iran is the running out of things to blow up. We've blown up so much. And if they keep trying us, the things that are going to be left to blow up are things that are impossible for them to replace, right? The water treatment plants, the power plants. They're not going to have any bridges left by the time this is done. And we should also blow up their roads all over the place, right? They got roads that lead from town to town. Blow all those things up. All right, we'll be back in less than a minute from the radio break. Yep, the number to call in is pinned in the live chat, and it's toll-free no matter where you are listening. 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. And we got just over 30 seconds, and we will be back. I will get into the Fauci hearings, too. I'll take a call or two, and then we'll get into the Fauci hearings. So I got to queue up some audio here. Hold on. All right, 20 seconds and we'll be back. I'm just going to queue up some audio here. All right, stand by. 10 seconds. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Line colonizer from Fort Lauderdale.
What's up?
What's up? Just a few comments here. As I said before, the DSA is trying to infiltrate American.
The Democrat Socialist Communist of America. That's correct.
Yes, they're trying to bring Sharia law to America because what you have to understand is their goal is to make the whole globe their faith, their religion, Islam.
That may be true, but the Democrat Socialist of America, which is a communist organization, they're it's like rhinos, Republican in name only. Rhinos are really Democrats. Democrat Socialist of America are really communist, and that may be their ultimate goal. Some of them, like Abdul and Mamdani, but their primary goal is the downfall of the United States. And
Exactly.
If you look at the World Trade Center was attacked twice, right? 9/11, but then we had the first time, and the Islamic terrorist, when it comes to the United States, they have a real thing about New York, and they don't like commerce, and they don't like our economy. And part of the attack is an attempt to bring down the American economy. And instead of hijacking planes and crashing them in the buildings, now they're just running for Congress.
And they're doing that on purpose because I've yet to meet a secular Muslim. So what I believe is the strategy is like what Adolf Hitler did, which was he was elected into power before he went bat crazy. And then once he got into the seat, he started doing all types of crazy stuff. So
no, he wasn't. He was not elected. But I know what you're trying to say. Hey, blind man from Fort Lauderdale, I appreciate the call. And I give an example with the pro-Iranian press in this country. So there's a number of stories in the news today, all meant to try to discourage Americans, right? As far as the Iran war, we're low on ammo and rockets. They're being resupplied. There's another fake news story. Caroline Levitt said it's fake, that there's a three-way split and argument at the upper levels of the Trump administration where Trump was yelling at everybody. There's disunity with the cabinet. All these stories are fake. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, bro.
Hey, Richie. What's up?
I have to. I'm going to. First of all, yesterday, what you said, somebody called up and said that something. A liberal called up about me, and you said that I'm not MAGA and I don't like Trump. So I'm going to, but I like his policies. It's just the opposite. And I don't know what you call MAGA. Do you think Steve is MAGA?
No.
I question certain things.
No, Steve doesn't like to be. No, Steve is not, and he makes a big point of that. He doesn't want to be considered a part of it.
What's your definition of MAGA before I really get into it?
President Trump is the definition of MAGA, and whatever he says is MAGA.
See, so that's not. In other words, you never question a decision.
Of President Trump's, correct. Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm gonna ask you an honest question. It's not.
The first question wasn't honest. Aren't all your questions honest?
It was in your opinion, but I wouldn't vote for anyone else other than Trump. But I see some of the things he does, and I question his what he's doing because of what it makes him look like. Just like, why do you think that the liberal left is saying we're running out of ammo? And what do you think? And I'm going to tell you my opinion, just my opinion, because the way he's run this thing, it's like he comes on TV. We're almost. They're ready to sign. They're at the table. They want to give up. 2 days later, he's bombing the crap out of I'm going to bomb the crap. A day later, I'll stop the war again. It's on off, on off, on off. It's in other words, all in or all out. This back and forth makes him look weak. And if you don't believe it, that's what and the Democrats love it. They love whenever he pauses and says, we're going to give him a break for a couple of days. They're going to come to the table. And then when they break it, and I'm not saying he's breaking it because he wants that decision, he's making himself look weak by back and forth. He's got to go all in and sit there in the Oval Office and tell the American people why we got to go all in.
Well, you and I, who are not privy to everything. Yeah, I mean, I would have no problem if he went out and wiped out the whole country, every part of it, and just turned it all into one big desert. But he's privy to information and things that you and I are not. And I trust in his decision making.
Well, the trust is one thing, but the trust is one thing. I trust in what he's trying to do, but I don't agree with back and forth.
Yeah, but your opinion that he's doing the wrong thing is not as informed as his opinion, because he knows everything that's going on, and you and I don't. But
part of the deal was that I know Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio want him to do a job in there, and then you got Vice President Vance. And the two negotiators, his son-in-law and the other one, going in there saying, "No, we could talk to these guys." Well, can you talk to them or you can't talk to them?
Well, you can talk to them, but it's a waste of time. I mean, they're still talking, but the president, the president agrees with that. He said talking to them is a waste of time. Even though they're talking.
Why does he keep on stopping? Why does he keep on stopping?
Why do they? You mean the military operation?
Making an excuse.
My guess is a lot of it has to do. We've done so much bombing that they probably use that as opportunities to track down some new targets when the Iranians move things around. That would be my guess.
They have a lot of their bridges left in their power plants, and he said about 2 weeks ago they should have started it already. But the day he was supposed to start it, he said, we're going to be talking again.
Well, he said, President Trump said yesterday in the Oval Office that the rockets that were launched at the base in Jordan, even though we did respond last night to, he says that was done by like one guy. It wasn't the government.
You believe that too, right?
I believe Trump. Yes.
There are one guy's all over the place.
And I bet you that guy's dead now.
Listen, he had to come up with an excuse when
it's not an excuse.
Saying they're done and everything.
So the purpose so hold on a second here. So the purpose of this call is what you're doing, Richie, is proving me right that you're not MAGA, because that sounds like what you're doing to me.
I didn't say I'm not MAGA.
You're questioning. You're saying Trump looks weak.
I policy. Right. I don't blind follow anyone.
Right, well, then you're not MAGA.
You do.
Then you're not MAGA.
Well, then who do you follow more than anyone other than Donald Trump? Jesus Christ, right?
Yeah.
But Jesus Christ is the only one that's not sinful, doesn't lie, doesn't do anything like that.
Well, when you're a president, you have to lie, sometimes by omission, right?
But you don't. You're gonna. I ask you an honest question?
Another honest.
Really think that this policy of back and forth has made him look good or weak? Because the negotiations
he looks strong to me, but the media, Richie, the media, no matter what Trump does, the media are going to portray it as wrong.
I'd rather have the media say he's a war criminal and go in there and blow the hell out of them than what he's doing, like wishy-washy. I'm half in, half out.
Okay.
Can't do it like that. Going to lose everybody that wants us to win this thing. And he's going to have his critics no matter what he does. So my point is, I love President Trump.
I can tell. Yeah, it sounds like it. I can feel the love coming from you.
You see, no. I'm Brian. I'm not going to say Trump can't do no wrong. If he does wrong, I still believe in him. I'm 150%. Man, if you're like that, you're just like the guys that followed Hitler into the grave.
Oh, I'm like the Nazis now. Okay, all right.
No, hey, you're thinking of Hitler is the same with Trump.
Hitler was running his country into destruction, and there were bombs falling all over the country. We don't have that happening here.
He had blind followers. He had blind followers.
He had some blind followers. There's no doubt about it. I'm not a blind follower.
And that's what
I just trust in his decision making. No.
Yeah, you.
See, what you are is, a lot of people are like you, like Michael Savage and others. You want everybody to think. You want everyone to think. What did I see?
You tell me you didn't see that, Michael. I sent you the thing with his Air Force One that he took when he shouldn't have.
What I talked about with Michael Savage, I've talked about this a lot over the years. Michael Savage is desperate to make people think that he's a strong, independent thinker. So while he'll go along with Trump, like every other Thursday, I picked that because today's Thursday. He has to attack Trump
Yeah.
so that he can look like he's an independent thinker. Trump, the MAGA movement is very, very important. And President Trump is accomplishing a lot of goals. And to accomplish those goals in the time that he's president, I'm going to back everything that he says and does because he
Right. You agree that he should have taken the risk of flying a plane that he shouldn't have taken. He should have taken from the Qataris because they could have that plane could be bugged at any point, and they don't have the defense system in it. But yet he took it anyway because he wanted that plane for his library or whatever he's going to do.
The plane was totally renovated by the United States Air Force.
Not enough.
According to Michael Savage.
They couldn't have gone over the whole thing. It's impossible.
They had it for like a year.
Any engineer
How long did they have it before he flew on it for the renovations? Like a year.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. I know they went over the plane.
Listen, Richie, I gotta run. I'm late for the break at the bottom of the hour. All right, you take care. If you're on hold, stand by. Oh, man. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show. I want to talk about Jamie Levac over at Swift Tax. Listen up, guys. If you owe money to the IRS, stop panicking. Don't worry, okay? Even if you've already made payment arrangements that you're struggling with and you make those payments every month to the IRS and you're not making a dent, you want to call Jamie Levac. But if you owe money to the IRS and you're worried about that certified letter coming, you're worried about wage garnishment, don't worry. Call Jamie Levac at Swift Tax. He's got a direct line to the IRS. He will take care of it for you. He can help you with your taxes no matter where you are located. This number rings directly to Jamie Levac, 954-773-1587. 954-773-1587. That's 954-773-1587. If you missed the tax filing deadline this year or even other years in the past, don't call Jamie Levac. He will help you. 954-773-1587. Call us on hold, stand by. It's the Steve Kane Show. My name is Brian Craig. Back right after this. All right, guys, if you are on hold, hang in there, okay? And if you'd like to call in, the number's toll free. It's pinned in the live chat. Now, you heard that conversation. Does Richie sound MAGA to you? What do you guys think? Does Richie sound MAGA to you? I don't think so. He doesn't sound MAGA to me. No. A lot of, this is the thing about Trump, okay? Trump he's reshaping the entire government. He is freeing us from the deep state and the political establishment, okay? And that involves also the passage of the Save America Act, which we desperately need. So until he gets all of these things done, it's important to support him every step of the way because, once we get the Save America Act passed and implemented and signed into law, about 90% of the problems we have in this country are going to be solved just like that, okay? And that's why they're slow walking it so much because they understand the impact that it's going to have. Now listen, I'm going to take a quick break and be right back.
If you're a business owner, founder, or marketer, you already know that great content matters. The problem is finding the time to write it or the budget to keep hiring writers. That's where maywrites.co comes in. Think of maywrites.co as your on-demand writing employee. Need blog posts? No problem. Newsletters? They do that too. LinkedIn content? No worries. Website copy? Even an ebook? Just send your request. There's no pre-word charges, no per-project invoices, and no surprise cost. With maywrites.co, you get unlimited writing requests for one simple monthly rate. It's like having a professional writer on your team. You'll get fast turnaround, consistent quality, and the freedom to stop worrying about who will write your next piece of content. Best of all, you can try it free for 7 days. If it's not the right fit, you can cancel anytime. Stop chasing writers, stop paying by the project, and start creating more content with less stress. Visit maywrites.co right now. That's maywrites, maywrites.co, your on-demand writing employee.
All right, we're in radio break for one more minute. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'm going to go to the phones when we get back. The number's toll free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you're listening. And remember, all the calls are screenless and unvetted. So those of you that are new, no one answers the phone. I just put you on hold, and I take the calls in the order in which they were received. And no one knows who's on hold until I click it on the air and say, what's your name? Where are you calling from? And then we know. All right. So 888-465-2631. The number is pinned in the live chat. And everyone, please do me the favor of liking the video if you don't mind. That really helps grow the channel. Okay. All right. 10 seconds. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm from Texas.
Hey, Texas.
And I was wondering why President Trump keeps stopping and going all the time. And I'm thinking maybe because his raw power. I think he has 60 days to act, and then he has to. So that's why he keeps stopping and going, because he doesn't want Congress to get involved.
He's resetting He's resetting the 60 days.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Another thing that I wanted to mention, I hope you don't mind me mentioning. I heard that Madani, what he did was put all these people's names up, what they have in the house. And
the property, the people that own multiple properties.
That's scary.
Yeah,
that
well,
really
that's...
Excuse me, because I live in Houston.
Not only is it scary, it's the way that things are going to be moving forward. It really shows you what these Democrats, socialists, communists are all about, right?
I'm afraid because I live in Houston, Texas, and it's the Blue City.
Oh.
So we have a lot of mafia, and I'm just really frightened that's going to happen here in Houston.
It's not going to happen in Texas. You might, I know there's some blue cities like Houston, but Texas is run by good Americans. You'll be okay.
And then I wanted to talk about, too, how these liberals, one thing is how they keep talking bad about President Trump, especially Doc. He doesn't realize that our country's in danger. He should be worrying about Islam taking over Texas instead of taking on President Trump all the time. Yeah. That's what I wanted to say, too.
All right. Well, listen, you're a good caller. Call me again sometime.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, take care. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Chris, Chicago.
Hey, what's up, Chicago?
I got two things. Please don't cut me off. The stockpile, the reason why the Democrats are stating that we are running out of ammo because the Secretary of War is asking for emergency $67 billion to help restock, to replenish the weapons. So that's what's going on in Congress right now. So that's coming from. And one more thing, second thing, if the Chinese stated that they would not help Iran in the war without giving them no weapons, and they told Trump they wouldn't help, and they continue to help, does that make Trump look weak?
Well, first off, do you know where that story comes from? That China is replenishing the rockets of Iran?
Yeah, but it's
No. Do you know where where the original source of the story is?
No, I don't. I'm just.
Okay, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you. Iran. In fact, China said the story's not true. Iran and their propaganda machine put that out there, and the Trump-hating, America-hating left grabbed onto it, and it's everywhere now, as if it's real.
Well, can I ask you this? If it is true, does that make Trump look weak?
If it is true? No, it doesn't. How does it make him look weak? No, it doesn't. You see, anything that Trump does, anything that happens, you're going to think it makes him look bad, weak, incompetent, this or that.
I'm asking you a question.
No.
You say he's the most respected president in the world. He's top of this.
He's not president of the world. He's president of the United States, and China. China is our enemy.
He's the most respected in the world.
China. We're at war with China. There's a Cold War going on with China.
Okay.
And I mean, this is remember they flew the spy balloon over when Biden was president. They have all these Chinese spies at our universities.
They did that during the Trump administration as well.
No, they didn't do that. Hold on one moment here while I answer all these lines coming in. But they're our enemy. So, if Trump had his way with China, a lot of things would be different, but he's not the president of China. You know this.
Okay, fine. Like I say, but I'm just letting you know about the weapons.
But I mean, look
okay?
at you.
That's where
But
that
look at
comes
everything with you in this call. Here you are, a liberal Democrat guy in Chicago, and you're like energized by these negative things. Now, the other thing about Pete Hegseth, well, of course, Pete Hegseth wants to get more weapons built because why? Why do you think? Why is Pete Hegseth want to do this?
He asked for an emergency, meaning he literally said we need to restock. We're running out of weapons. That came from
He
his
didn't
mouth.
say no. He didn't say we're running.
it.
No, he didn't say we're running out of weapons. He said the Biden auto pen administration gave.
Hey, Biden, come
excuse
on,
me.
man.
The
It's been
Biden
2
administration.
years,
The
man.
Biden administration. Why? See what I mean? Food. A negative
Why
story
am I
about
going to
America
Biden?
is like
It's
food
been
to these
2
little.
years.
The
It's been 2
Obama.
years.
Excuse
I'm
me.
so tired of y'all
The
blaming stuff on Biden, Obama.
The Biden administration gave so many weapons and so much ammunition to Ukraine. He wants to replenish our stockpile. That doesn't mean we're running low against Iran.
So why they asking for it now all of a sudden? You know
Because
why?
because he's in.
Because they're burning through it. Right
They're not
now,
burning
we spent
through it.
$100 billion.
No.
We spent $100 billion on this war so far, and we in debt.
The weapons that we already have used are weapons we already had. The money was already spent on those weapons. They don't pay. They don't. It's not like if I go. It's not like if I go to the shooting gallery at the fair and I have to pay for every shot I take. I mean, these weapons have already been bought and paid for. But I don't know why. But you were laughing. Why are you laughing at the thought that we might be running? No, let me ask the question. Let me ask the question before you answer it. Why were you laughing at the statement you made that we're running low on ammunition while we're at war? Why would that be funny?
I wasn't laughing at that. I was laughing at the fact that you said Biden and Obama. I'm tired.
Well, they're terrible people.
Y'all continue to blame stuff.
They're terrible people.
He's been in office 2 years now. Stop blaming stuff on Biden.
No, a year and a half. A year and a half.
Well, okay, stop blaming stuff on them, please.
Why?
Let it go.
Why? Obama is still undermining him.
Because
Obama is still undermining him.
You need to focus on it.
There's according to Brennan, who was Obama's CIA director, they have a shadow government undermining Trump and the deep state. That's all Obama.
Okay, man. Now we're going back to 2020 now.
I'm in 2026. This is Brennan this year said this on MS Now.
Once again, this war got a 36 approval rating amongst Americans. Okay, so just focus on that. Okay.
Well,
so
it doesn't matter what Democrats think. It doesn't.
No, this war has a
listen,
83%.
83% of Americans, according to CNN, support government-issued photo ID to vote. So since you govern by direct democracy and polls, you must agree with photo ID to vote, right?
Well, we do agree with photo ID. But
I appreciate that. On that note of agreement. Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yes, this is Steve from Staten Island.
Hey, Steve. What's up?
I just listening to it. And we have to get at the Chinese doing with giving missiles to. It is a propaganda thing. That's the only thing that Iran has got left. We're wiping them out. And so they say, well, maybe we can get China and America against each other and say, oh, they were giving us missiles and helping us.
Yeah.
It's the biggest bunch because that's the only thing they have left.
They're traitors.
I mean, we're whooping them.
Traitors.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is and you got the left-wing media agreeing to it and say, hey, this must be the truth.
Well, Steve, it's like the last caller. When he was talking about, when he was spreading the Iranian propaganda that we're low on ammunition, he was laughing. It made him feel good, the idea that we might be running low on rockets and ammunition. What kind of American thinks that's funny?
I don't think that's funny at all. I always believe in our country. I always believe in our military. And we're going to, we wouldn't be, you want us the war to stop, and hopefully we get people who shake hands and actually do it. But you've got people who are going to be a little schmucks. Let's put it
Yeah,
that
schmucks.
way.
I like that. That's good. Yeah, that's right. Listen, I got to run for our break, but thanks again. Staten Island Steve, if you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, the number is toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. You know, our 11th annual MAGA Cruise is coming up in March, and the summer specials will be ending soon. You know, we have we organized this cruise while the ship was still under construction. We're going on the newest ship in the Celebrity Cruise Line fleet for our next MAGA Cruise in March. We're going to the Bahamas. We're going to the Cayman Islands. We've got 2 great stops in Mexico, and we've got a great group of MAGA people. And you are all invited. And since we organized this cruise while the ship was still under construction, we got an incredible deal for those of you who join us. But there's a summer special going on right now that's about to expire that you can combine with our incredibly low rates. So call Ian at Cruise and Travel Depot, make your reservations, and join us on our 11th annual MAGA Cruise. Spend a week with me and Steve Kane at sea. We have a great time. Now, when you call Ian, if you get his voicemail, leave your name and number. He will call you back. 561-244-5779. 561-244-5779. That's 561-244-5779. We'll be back right after this. All right, you callers on hold, hang in there. We'll get to the calls after the break. I'll be right back.
Some of life's most meaningful memories can come from something as simple as a familiar scent. And that's the inspiration behind Heavenly Scents, a handcrafted Etsy shop created from love, healing, and the memory of a cherished mother whose warmth and kindness continue to inspire every product. After struggling for years with sensitive skin, eczema, and unexplained hives, the creator of Heavenly Scents began making gentle goat milk body products using simple ingredients she could trust. What started as a personal journey soon became a passion for creating products that are as soothing to the skin as they are comforting to the soul. From rich, moisturizing goat milk soaps to beautifully scented body products, every item is handcrafted with care to help you relax, refresh, and enjoy a little everyday luxury. Whether you're searching for a thoughtful gift or treating yourself to something special, discover the handmade difference at Heavenly Scents, online at heavenlyscents3.etsy.com. That's the number 3, heavenlyscents3.etsy.com. Visit the shop right now, view the inventory, and find the scent that feels like home. heavenlyscents3.etsy.com.
All right, we'll be back shortly. We're still in radio break. And those of you that are Medicare recipients, call Chapter. The number's up on the screen, 805-754-3033. You know, Chapter will review your Medicare policy at no charge. And no matter where you are in the United States, they can help you. And since Chapter's a national company, they have access to all the over 25,000 Medicare policies there are in this country. They'll review your policy completely at no charge, and it'll be reviewed by a licensed Medicare advisor. It costs you nothing, and they'll compare all the plans that are available to find out that you have the right plan for your needs and your situation, and also make sure for the right price as well. Give them a call, 805-754-3033. And remember, no matter what state you're in the United States, give them a call, 805-754-3033. That's 805-754-3033 for Chapter, all right? Okay, and we'll be back in about 1 minute. I'll go back to the phones. I've got more to cover. If you'd like to call in, the number is toll-free. It's pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. So far as Michael Savage and the new Air Force One, my guess is Michael Savage didn't get invited to fly on it, so of course there's something wrong with the plane, not him. And it's his ego was bruised, Michael Savage. Do you think Michael Savage would have turned down a flight with the president on the new Air Force One? No, I don't think so either. You know, these guys, they have weak egos, right? That's right. All right, less than 30 seconds and we'll be back. And I'll go to the phones. 888-465-2631 is the number. It's pinned in the live chat. And everyone, please like the video. All right, 15 seconds. We're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Oh, hold on one moment. The phones are just ringing off the hook. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Doug, and I'm calling from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Hey, what's up, Charlotte, North Carolina?
I'm on my way to work, man. I was listening to a few minutes back, I guess, when you were talking to one of the guys about MAGA versus, people who just follow blindly and all that stuff. I'm sure you guys have talked about other stuff since then. I don't mean
That's
to
okay.
interrupt or go back to the
It's okay.
But no, I was just saying, look. I mean, conservatism, right? I'm a conservative since I'm 56. I started being a conservative in my 20s, and I watched the phenomenon of Trump as he blew through everybody during the 16 primaries or whatever. And at the time, I thought, oh, he's not conservative. No way. And so I didn't vote for him. And then he proved me wrong over 4 years. And what people have to understand about him, especially watching the fallout as the MAGA, ultra MAGA guys like the Carlsons or whatever, Tucker Carlson, show their true colors. Mm-hmm. And you kind of look at who's loyal, who's not, whatever. And I fell into this, to the understanding of first of all, I grew up in the 80s, neocons and all that. That's how what I am, I guess, whatever. It was used as pejorative against us. Mm-hmm. But the great thing about Trump, and the thing that I figured out, is that generally speaking, he learns when he makes mistakes, which you never see politicians do. And it took him a while for a couple of things. I was pissed off at him over the Ukraine thing. My wife's Ukrainian, and I was trying to convince my wife to stick with him. And to this day, she's now angry because of that. His attitude towards Zelensky, which I understood was because of the impeachment and all that stuff. But there are people out here, we don't always agree with Trump or whatever, but the underlying, the current, the underlying, theme of it is that he is the one. He is the only option. If you want to actually make America great again, with all of his faults and all of his mistakes, the guy learns. Like today, recently he's turning around and letting the Ukrainians he figured out that the Russians are pieces of crap, which we knew since the 80s,
Yeah.
But he finally said, okay, we're gonna let them, make their own patriots. Now, and I'm trying to convince my wife, look, things have changed. She's different now, and she's still, she doesn't believe anything the Democrats believe. She's anti-communist and all that stuff, but she doesn't see it because she's blinded the other way. This guy was talking about being blinded following him. Well, my wife, who I love dearly, he's a Ukrainian at heart and very much freedom-minded. She is so blinded by the, TDS or whatever you want to call it, that there's no grace at all for basically a showboat, showman like Trump. And I got convinced in 2016. I saw, when I voted for him the first time and I saw the election get stolen from him, I was like, oh, man, that basically could have convinced me to be blindly following him. But, real conservatives, they want the country to be better. They want America to be better. And he's the conduit. Like it or hate it. That's the way
That's exactly right.
That's all I want to say.
Well, you made some good points. All right, call me again sometime. Great call. All right, take care. I agree with everything that guy said, no doubt about it. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Jody, from Illinois.
All right, Illinois. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm MAGA, and I know you had a conversation with Richie. With MAGA people, I trust Trump enough that he loves the country, that he's bringing us in the direction that we need to be. And because we're coming from all sides, and I think they want him to look that way, but I trust Trump enough and his administration that he knows he's smarter than me. So he's bringing us to the direction that we need to be. That's my opinion.
You're right on the money, Jody. And, the thing about what Trump's doing And, people's like, oh, you're like a Nazi because you're blindly following. President Trump's got a lot of things going on, but the main thing that he's doing is he's still draining the swamp, and he's purging the government from these political establishment cronies, right? And when the SAVE Act is done, and he continues this purge of these rhinos and all these snakes, then there's some time when there's another MAGA president that we can say, okay, we love him, but maybe we don't agree with this or that. Maybe, I don't know. But President Trump's working on this big picture. I often say that President Trump is more than a politician. He's a civil rights leader, the greatest civil rights leader, leading the largest civil rights movement in the history of the United States. He's leading all of the American people to freedom from the Washington class that think they control us. And if any of
the communists,
and if any of you are familiar with the Hunger Games, the Hunger Games is the United States before Trump, right? We have all these states, districts that are controlled by these out of touch fat cats in the capital city, and President Trump that's the draining of the swamp. And and that's why I support him, because his ultimate goal is to drain the swamp, and the Save America Act will be the biggest act of swamp drainage there is.
And that's why I think that he put a limelight on the people that are pretty much not for America. Why wouldn't you want an ID to vote? I mean, that makes no sense.
Well, the answer is obvious. You don't even have to answer that. I mean, it's obvious. Everybody knows.
I know. So he's letting, but I just say, I like your show, and
well, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you and all of our listeners. Thanks so much. All right, guys, take care. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, how you doing? This is Dave from Pennsylvania.
Hey, Dave, what's up?
Yeah, I just want to have something for people to think about, the ones that are thinking we're running out of ammo. If we're running out of ammo, don't you think Israel would be involved to help us out?
Well, we no one knows how much we have of anything. That's highly secretive stuff, right? So anybody who's reporting that we're low on anything is full of it. Just because Pete Hegseth wants to increase the military budget to stock up doesn't mean we're running low. There's so much government corruption with the military-industrial complex. We probably have more ammo than we could use in 20 years.
Oh, I agree, but I'm just saying, if we were that low, don't you think we'd have Israel helping us out?
Well, if we were low, wouldn't they be low? I don't know. This is what I know, okay? The media have multiple stories out there trying to convince us that Iran's winning this war. And you don't see any stories from the media that Iran's running low. Not only are they firing things off, we're blowing all their stuff up, right? So why is all the press reporting we're low on things, but never Iran? Iran's always on the move. They're always building up. They're always regrouping. They're always being resupplied, but we're low on ammo. Give me a break.
Brian, one thing about ceasefires people aren't thinking. Not only is he giving them a chance to accept a deal, but we're also taking advantage on seeing where they're moving other things around, so if we do have to go in, we know where they're at.
That's correct. I think a lot of the ceasefires are because it allows them to get more targets. After these attacks and bombings, the Iranians move things around again, and then we get some new targets that they take out next time. That's what it's a military strategy.
And one last thing, if Chinese or whoever other countries supplying them, don't you think that we'd blow it up before they got their hands on it?
Yeah, and the president, I don't know if we'd blow up Chinese people. No, I don't know about that. But how do you get into Iran now? We've got them completely surrounded, right? Come on. And another thing about it is, this is how weak Iran is. And I have seen President Trump 3 times now do this on 3 different press events. He did this yesterday. He said, we're getting ready to go in and bomb them again. And he says, I can say that because they can't shoot back at us. They're so depleted. In the beginning, he didn't do that. If they had the ability to fire back at our rockets and airplanes, he wouldn't announce that we're going in. He said yesterday, we're going in tonight. And I can say that because
I
they can't
agree.
shoot back. And that, but the media ignore all of that.
I agree, Brian. I see it. You see it. Other people need to see it.
They see it too. They just lie. All right. Appreciate the call, man. All right. Take care. If you're on hold, hang in there. Someone off air had asked me for the number for Lighthouse Medical Center, and I'm going to give that to you. It's 754-222-6642. 754-222-6642. If you are a loved one or suffering from neuropathy, call Lighthouse Medical Center. The consultation is free if you mention you heard about them on the Steve Kane Show. 754-222-6642. And online, lighthousemedicalcenter.com. All right. If you're on hold, hang in there. After the top of the hour, I'll go back to the phones. There's some other stories in the news that I do want to comment on, including the Fauci hearings yesterday. The number is toll-free no matter where you're listening, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are listening. And those of you that are new to the program, remember all the calls to the program are unscreened and unvetted. When you call in, no one answers the phone. I just put you on hold, okay? And when you hear me say, what's your name? Where are you calling from? That's the first time we know who's on hold, okay? So a lot of times people that are new, that have called for the first time, they get a little confused because nobody answers the phone. We do not do that on this program. It's actually the format of the show, all right? 888-465-2631. After the top of the hour, I am going to move on to some other topics, but you are welcome to call in about anything that I've discussed so far on the program. We've had some incredibly good calls today, I must say, so you guys have really raised the bar. We've heard from one liberal who was laughing at the idea, was very happy at the idea that we might be low on some rockets that we're launching. That tells you everything you need to know about the Democrats. They're the Hate America First crowd. Back after this break.
Our world is filled with confusion, deception, and uncertainty. Where can you turn for the truth? Bible Prophecy and Truth is a Christ-centered ministry dedicated to proclaiming the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ and shining the light of God's Word into a world darkened by deception. Discover powerful videos that explain what the Bible says about salvation and what you must do to be saved. Explore fascinating teachings on Bible prophecy, the rapture. There's also an in-depth creation versus evolution study that will strengthen your faith and deepen your understanding of Scripture. And that's just the beginning. Whether you're a lifelong believer, a new Christian, or simply searching for answers, Bible Prophecy and Truth offers biblical teaching rooted in God's truth. Visit videos.prophecyandtruth.com. That's videos.prophecyandtruth.com and discover the truth, strengthen your faith, and grow closer to Jesus Christ. Videos.prophecyandtruth.com. Life can leave us with a lot of questions. Why did this happen to me? Why do I keep repeating the same patterns? And where is God in all of it? If you've ever asked those questions, you need to tune into the Healing Philosophers podcast with The Healing Philosopher on Spotify. Through honest conversations and real-life experiences, each episode explores topics like healing from past hurts, generational karma, letting go of what's holding you back, understanding narcissism, and discovering how God can use even life's hardest moments for a greater purpose. The Healing Philosophers podcast is about finding hope, growing in your faith, and realizing that your story in every season of your life has meaning. Add the Healing Philosophers podcast to your Spotify playlist and make sure to share the podcast on all your social media and invite your friends and family to listen in too. Your share could be exactly what someone else needs right now. The Healing Philosophers podcast with the Healing Philosopher on Spotify. Healing starts with one conversation. Listen now on Spotify. Some towns never forget, and some ghosts never leave. From author Alex Giles comes your next must-read book, The Ghost of Port St. Joe, a ghost story of the Florida coast. Along Florida's forgotten coast lies Port St. Joe. It's a town where a tragic past refuses to stay buried. When Alex discovers a mysterious gold locket, he awakens spirits trapped for nearly 2 centuries and uncovers a love story that death could never end. If you love Southern Gothic society suspense, haunted history, unforgettable characters, and chilling mysteries, The Ghost of Port St. Joe will keep you turning pages late into the night. Order your copy right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover edition, as well as Barnes & Noble, Apple Books, Smashwords, Kobo, and learn more on the author's website, alex-giles.com. The Ghost of Port St. Joe from author Alex Giles. Order your copy today, because sometimes the dead are only waiting to be remembered.
All right, we're still in radio break. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll be back in about a minute. Then the toll-free number to call in is pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. When we get back, I'm going to get into some other topics. But you're welcome to call in about anything that we've brought up so far on the program. Anything that's been discussed by me or any of the callers is fair game, even though I'm going to move on to some other topics, okay? That's right. And again, the number's pinned in the live chat. And everybody, please like the video. Liking the video gets the video recommended to people that have not yet found the channel, and that helps grow the channel and a lot, and I do appreciate that. We've got about 30 seconds, and we will be back. Okay, I'll gotta make a note here. Okay. 15 seconds. All right, the 7 o'clock hour has begun. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. This is Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. And I want to talk a little bit about the Fauci hearings. I watched almost all of it yesterday. I'll just play this one clip.
What day of the week is it today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color tie are you wearing?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color's the carpet in front of you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment.
Okay, yeah, so there, that was yesterday. Okay, I gotta tell, and I don't know what your experience was, and I'd certainly like to hear what your experience was watching the Fauci hearing yesterday. It was incredibly disturbing and very upsetting to me personally. I really was upset about it. That whole period, it's not that I hadn't forgotten about it, but it was such a terrible period that I don't think about a lot of the things that people suffered through. And yesterday during the show, if you were listening in the 8 o'clock hour, I got someone in my immediate family. They're in the hospital. They called actually, and they called in the ambulance while I was on the air yesterday on my cell phone. Well, they called me, and it's somebody in the immediate family, and it was very unusual for them to call me when I'm on the air in the mornings. And I called them back. I went to break, called them back, and they were actually in the ambulance. I talked to them and the paramedic treating them, and they're in the hospital right now, and they're okay, by the way. But so I had that on my mind as I'm watching the Fauci hearings yesterday. And I was one of the Republican senators made us proud, didn't they, yesterday? Boy, I wish they'd rally and make Thune pass the Save America Act. But the Republican senators made me proud yesterday. Class acts, all of them, and they did a great job. But there were so many things that were brought up that I kind of almost I had emotional reactions to some of it, and I imagine you all did too. And I was thinking about a lot of things that came up, including, and this one is so sad, and then my wife reminded me of something that someone told us about their experience with this. And what it was is all the people who died alone, whose relatives weren't allowed to see them and be by their bedside in the hospital, and they died alone. And I was thinking how terrible that was. And my wife had reminded me of a story that one of her doctors had told her. One of her doctors, he's a good Republican guy, and he was working in a hospital at the time. And he said for him as a doctor, it was one of them, and he seemed really traumatized by this. The doctor, he said it was so difficult for him to watch people in the hospital die, talking to their families while they're dying on iPads on their deathbed. You know, and I was thinking about that, you know, and I was thinking, I was telling my wife, I said, if you were in the hospital dying, I mean, they'd have to and they'd have to call the police and haul me off to stop me from going. And she says, well, that's what they would do, and that's what they were doing. And can you imagine? I mean, there's many other things, but some of those things I just haven't thought about in a long time. And I'm watching Fauci yesterday, and he went through a couple different phases yesterday. When Rand Paul had his scumbag lawyer removed from the hearing, he started shaking. He was scared. And Fauci's hands were shaking so bad, he was holding on to the pen to try to hide the shaking, but he couldn't hide it. And that went on for quite a while. He was scared to death. Then he seemed to get angry as the Republicans were, didn't he? He seemed to get angry. Like, who do you think you are saying these things to me? And then by the end, he just started tuning it out and just didn't hear. He was waiting for the voice inflection of a question so we could do that Fifth Amendment statement again, which this Fifth Amendment does not apply because you can't incriminate yourself if you have immunity from prosecution. So it doesn't apply. And Jonathan Turley, the legal analyst on Fox, I don't trust his analysis. He's a hack. It's not. He said it's a gray area. It's not. When you have immunity, you cannot incriminate yourself if you have immunity. That's the deal they make with people all the time in the legal system. You know, they testify truthfully in exchange for immunity, but if they refuse to testify or lie, the immunity is no longer in place. So he doesn't have the Fifth Amendment right when you have immunity from that. It's just the way it is. But and I was also thinking about just all the suffering, and this guy doesn't care. And when I saw Fauci yesterday, and I was thinking about, you know, estimates vary depending on who you talk to, right? But the mainstream analysis is about 1 million Americans died, 7 million worldwide. That's more than the Holocaust. And Fauci may be the man responsible for more death in the history of humanity who was not like a government official, right? There's been a lot of people in government that have slaughtered and murdered many millions more than that, sadly, but they've been prime ministers or generals or emperors. You understand what I mean? You know, for some little Napoleon complex suffering bureaucrat, you know, no one I don't think is responsible for as many deaths as this monster. And I don't know. I didn't sense regret. I think he's embarrassed. I think he was embarrassed by the diary becoming public. Okay, I think he was embarrassed by that, but he has no shame or any guilt for anything during that period, was my takeaway. Do you guys agree with that? 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. Doc from Texas.
Doc, can you turn down the volume of whatever you got on in the back?
Hold on, brother. Hold on. Let me put it on mute. I'm sorry. Let me put it on mute.
Mm-hmm. Yes. We'll all just hang out and wait for Doc to mute.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, Doc.
Okay,
What's on your mind?
How you this morning?
I'm doing okay.
All right. Hey, one thing about Dr. Fauci yesterday, I would plead the fifth too, because see, y'all had me there. Y'all had me there for what?
What?
For what?
Say what? What was the question?
Why I'd have played the fifth too, but about Dr. Fauci. Why would y'all have me? Why y'all have me here? For what?
Because millions of people around the world are dead, and he was in charge of the whole op.
So was Trump.
So what do you mean?
So bring him there. Bring him there.
So what do you mean by that?
Why? Dr. Fauci.
Oh, okay. So I got it straight. Hold on. So you don't. Okay, this is amazing. So you agree that Fauci is an evil man? You just want Trump to also take some of the blame.
I don't agree Fauci was an evil man. Y'all shouldn't have had him there because he didn't do anything, Brian. Y'all just don't like the man. Boom, done.
You think it's really about that? Just not liking the guy?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. And that's it. And stop saying Trump won something. Trump didn't win anything.
Really?
Trump doesn't have his...
He's president of the United States. He won the election, right? He's president.
Trump don't have his butt on the line over there in Iran.
Are you kidding?
His butt in the White
Are you
House.
kidding? He's been shot at. The Iranians have been trying to kill his whole family. He's got a lot on the... This guy's... Hold on a second, Doc. President Trump has more assassination attempts against him than every other president combined. The Iranians had an attempt on Air Force One this month. There was an assassin at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I mean, all these assassins. Hold on. You said something stupid. Hold on, Doc. No, you hold on. You hold on, Doc. All right, and you callers on hold. You said he doesn't have his butt on the line. What are all these people shooting at him and all these assassination attempts?
Calm down.
Yeah, you calm down. Goodbye. Yeah. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm actually calling from Texas.
All right, Texas. All right, get ready, Mike. Here we go. Yes, Texas.
Yeah, I actually had a question. So, you know how Fauci was a part of Trump's admin, right?
No, he was not.
Yeah, Fauci was helping defend Trump when COVID came out.
No, he was a bureaucrat. Excuse me. He was a government bureaucrat that had worked for the government since the 1980s. I mean, that's like saying that some career person at the State Department is part of it.
Fauci having to work under the administration means he was in the power of that administration. And that's the whole part I don't care about. But what I do want to care about is what you're so bent on is these diaries, right? See, Fauci literally hid stuff from the American people, okay? And now that we're looking at his diaries showing that he hid stuff under the Trump administration, there is definitely some type of collusion going on there.
With who?
For you to even
with Fauci and who? With Fauci and Trump? Are you out of your mind?
No, the Trump administration, because he was appointed in a government role during Trump's administration.
He had been in that... Hold on a second. Excuse me, Texas. Excuse me, Texas.
You're putting him on trial for hiding stuff in his diary.
There was...
trying to protect Trump's best interests. Do you not hear yourself right now?
This is the thing. I find nothing funny about 7 million people dead worldwide. What's the matter with you? What are you, psychotic? Why are you laughing? We're talking about global deaths, and you're laughing. There's nothing to laugh about here.
He was protecting on the Trump administration.
No, listen. What has been found out is that Fauci was hiding things from Trump and the White House and the administration.
Yes, during the administration
and many other things.
Trump, because he was trying to protect him.
You're out of your mind. Are you high? Do you smoke weed?
No, you have to look at the facts. If a government official is going to hide information, Obviously, there is something wrong if you're going to come
Here's
at
the
somebody.
deal. When there was a national emergency, I got to run for the break, but I'm going to finish with you. And the rest of you on hold, stand by. I'm late for the break. But there was a global emergency that took place. Fauci,
Okay, but
excuse me, I'm speaking. All right, well, I can't talk to people that won't listen. You've got to learn to stop waiting to talk and listen. That's how conversations happen. But I do want to take a break, and then those of you on hold, stand by. We'll go to the phones after the break. The number is 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. I want to talk about Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. You know, Laporta Roofing will never sell you a roof you do not need. And what that means is simply this, that if you need just a simple repair, Tom Laporta will do it. I know one of our listeners who thought they had a leak in their roof. Tom Laporta came out. It was his AC drain was actually doing the leaking. And Tom Laporta told him. You know, I have never heard another roofing company say they will not sell you a roof you do not need. You know, I years ago, after one of our hurricanes, I was missing some shingles on my roof, and I was shocked that roofing companies, they were telling me outright, we don't do repairs. Sorry, we don't do repairs. I couldn't believe it. Tom Laporta, if you need a simple repair, he'll do it. Now, if you need a whole new roof, he'll do that too. Give him a call. This number rings directly to Tom Laporta's cell phone, so you can call or text 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, LaportaRoofing.com. We'll be right back. Okay, now when you guys call in, okay, you have to, it's a conversation. You take turns speaking. You have to listen, okay, especially when you sound a little creepy. That guy to me was just a little creepy in his tone. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. We'll be right back, and I'll go back to the phones.
If you're a business owner, founder, or marketer, you already know that great content matters. The problem is finding the time to write it or the budget to keep hiring writers. That's where maywrites.co comes in. Think of maywrites.co as your on-demand writing employee. Need blog posts? No problem. Newsletters? They do that too. LinkedIn content? No worries. Website copy? Even an ebook? Just send your request. There's no pre-word charges, no per-project invoices, and no surprise cost. With maywrites.co, you get unlimited writing requests for one simple monthly rate. It's like having a professional writer on your team. You'll get fast turnaround, consistent quality, and the freedom to stop worrying about who will write your next piece of content. Best of all, you can try it free for 7 days. If it's not the right fit, you can cancel anytime. Stop chasing writers, stop paying by the project, and start creating more content with less stress. Visit maywrites.co right now. That's maywrites, maywrites.co, your on-demand writing employee. Modern life doesn't come with an instruction manual. It comes with endless notifications, distractions, and a to-do list that never seems to end. But what if getting your life back on track could actually make you laugh? It is possible. You just need the right help and guidance. And that's what you will find in Get Done, Why Your Brain Isn't Built for 2026, from author Newt Steele. Get Done is a funny, honest, and supportive guide to cutting through the chaos, overcoming distractions, and finally making real progress when life gets messy. Whether you're feeling overwhelmed or just need a fresh perspective, this must-read book will have you laughing your way through your to-do list while helping you get back to what really matters. Get Done, Why Your Brain Isn't Built for 2026, from author Newt Steele, is available right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and free with Kindle Unlimited. Just go to Amazon and search Newt Steele, Knute, and get on with living.
All right, we're in radio break for a little less than a minute. If you're on hold, stand by. I'm going to go back to the phones when we get back. If you want to call in, the number's toll-free and pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are watching. And if you could please like the video, guys, that helps a lot. When you like the video, it gets the video recommended to people who have not yet found the channel. So please like the video, all right? We got 20 seconds. The show is flying by. We're at the halfway point, coming up on it. 10 seconds. We're back. I'm Brian. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Jeff from Maine.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, there's a couple things I wanted to add. A lot of those pardons were signed with an auto pen. Will they hold up in court?
Yes.
Is that
Yes, they will.
Question.
They will.
2, all of his diary was on a government device. It is not private, and
Correct.
It's open for public record and prosecution.
Yes. Well, not prosecution because
right.
he was pardoned by Biden. Yeah.
But even if he was pardoned and he did not answer questions, can he be held accountable? Because like you said, if you're pardoned, that doesn't give you the right to plead the fifth.
Fauci's never going to see the inside of a jail cell. It's just, I got to be real
That's
about
scary,
that.
Brian.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Well, no, he has a cell waiting for him down below next to Hitler.
That's right. And I put that in the chat. He's going to be in the lower parts of hell with Hitler, Stalin, Mao, and the likes of them.
Yeah, and he probably doesn't think about such things because I'm sure he's an atheist. But
I didn't hear what you said.
I said I'm sure that Fauci doesn't think about such things because I would imagine he's an atheist.
Well, there's not going to be any atheists in hell. And, it's sad that somebody that evil can get away with it.
And remember, even the devil believes in Jesus and God, right?
Amen. He believes in the demons, yet they fear and tremble because they know he's coming.
Yeah.
And we have to rely on the Lord is going to be the righteous judgment.
That's correct.
And nothing.
I mean, I don't want to, listen, I
exposed.
could get everybody jazzed up. He's not going to see the inside of a jail cell, and the auto pen pardons will hold up. None of those will ever get thrown out. But
the great thing is America's doing well. Trump's doing well. I believe there's a game plan going in Iran going on right now.
But you know what though, Jeff? Even if Fauci committed new crimes, he wouldn't go to jail. The left view him as a deity, right? They like to say we're in a cult, They worship this guy. So if he got into a drunken driving vehicular homicide case, they would find a way to keep him free. He'll never see the inside of a jail cell for anything, no matter what he does throughout his life. It's not a pardon on future things, but the liberals have him on such a pedestal.
That's really disheartening, and
it's true
because it is. It's very disheartening being an American where we stand for truth and justice. And
that's not new. Look at Ted Kennedy. Ted Kennedy killed a woman and rescued himself and left her there to suffocate in an air pocket in a car that he left her in while he walked around with his neck in a brace worried about himself. I mean, Democrats have always had immunity from prosecution from all kinds of crimes.
Yeah,
right?
That was the one Democrat that got away with, just because of his name.
Oh yeah, he ran for president after that, and if he was alive, he'd still be in the Senate. Ted Kennedy. So Democrats have complete immunity from anything. They're like James Bond. They have a license to kill. It's the reality. I mean, I'm not saying that's right, but I don't get myself convinced. I don't gaslight myself. But the importance of yesterday was to have on the historical record what happened. And I was very proud, by the way. Ashley Moody, our senator who was appointed by DeSantis, who's running, she's finishing up Marco's term. But that it was important to get it out there for the historical record.
Did you hear the guy that cussed out?
Oh, that's Moreno. Moreno, Moreno. He's my new favorite senator. He's the one that said, "Who the F do you think you are?" And he's the senator from Ohio. And I don't know if I've ever heard of him before yesterday, but sadly he can't be president. He was born in Colombia, but he's
Did you hear his story of how he decided to run for Senate?
I did.
He gave that story.
Yeah.
That was incredible, Brian. That was an incredible life story. It should be played everywhere.
Yeah, and I looked him up when the hearing was going on because I was so impressed by him. And he grew up, even though he's originally from Colombia, he's the senator from Ohio. He grew up in my neighborhood, in my wife's neighborhood here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And he went to high school here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And he's a couple years older than I am, maybe 3 or 4 years older than I am. But he and I traveled in the same circles of people when we were kids. And that guy's awesome. I wish he was born in the United States because I could see that guy being a MAGA president, but he wasn't. And for those of you out there that say MAGA hates immigrants, that guy is from Colombia, and every MAGA person in America, that's our new favorite senator right there. Right? Who the F do you think you are? I couldn't believe, And did you see when the reporter asked him about Fauci getting into the elevator, he said he's a piece of blank. I was like, oh my God, I love this guy. He's the best.
Yeah, and when his lawyer, who wasn't supposed to be sitting beside him, got kicked out, that was my second favorite part.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, listen, I gotta run, Jeff, for our bottom of the hour break, but thanks for the call. All right.
Hey, Brian, have a great weekend. God bless, brother.
All right, take care. Those of you on hold, hang in there. I want to talk about life imaging. August will be here in just a couple of days. August is National Wellness Month. And let me tell you, I personally believe that everyone should each year go to life imaging and get the heart scan and the cancer screening. It should be a part of your yearly thing. You have all kinds of things that are on your yearly schedule. You go to the dentist once a year, your annual physical. My wife and I, we have certain things we do every year on a schedule around certain dates. And National Wellness Month, being the month of August, put it in your calendar every August, call Life Imaging and get the heart scan and the cancer screening. And if you make that your routine in August, you'll do it every single year, okay? Life Imaging have locations in Palm Beach County, Broward County, Dade County. I still call it Dade County, guys. I know it's Miami-Dade, but it'll always be Dade to me, and Orlando. So there's no excuse not to go in and take control of your health, all right? And when you're over at Life Imaging, please ask them about their full body cancer screening and their virtual colonography, and you will say goodbye to sedation forever. Call right now for your free heart scan with a few minimum requirements valued at $699. From your cell, dial pound 250 and say free heart scan, and you will be connected in seconds. That's pound 250, say free heart scan, and you'll be connected in seconds. All right, callers on hold, stand by. We'll take our break for the bottom of the hour and be back after this. All right, guys, if you're on hold, hang in there. I want to take a quick break and be right back.
Our world is filled with confusion, deception, and uncertainty. Where can you turn for the truth? Bible Prophecy and Truth is a Christ-centered ministry dedicated to proclaiming the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ and shining the light of God's Word into a world darkened by deception. Discover powerful videos that explain what the Bible says about salvation and what you must do to be saved. Explore fascinating teachings on Bible prophecy, the rapture. There's also an in-depth creation versus evolution study that that will strengthen your faith and deepen your understanding of Scripture. And that's just the beginning. Whether you're a lifelong believer, a new Christian, or simply searching for answers, Bible Prophecy and Truth offers biblical teaching rooted in God's truth. Visit videos.prophecyandtruth.com. That's videos.prophecyandtruth.com and discover the truth, strengthen your faith, and grow closer to Jesus Christ. Videos.prophecyandtruth.com. Are you looking for a smarter way to care for your skin and your hair? You can do just that with Valaya AI. Valaya AI is your personal AI wellness coach. With just a quick scan from your phone, Valaya AI analyzes your skin and hair in seconds, providing personalized recommendations for acne, hydration, wrinkles, pigmentation, dryness, hair health, and that's just the beginning. Using advanced artificial intelligence, Valaya AI creates customized morning and evening routines, recommends products tailored to your needs, and even adjusts your care based on the weather, UV index, and seasonal conditions. What are you waiting for? Download Valaya AI right now in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store and discover a smarter, more personalized approach to skin and hair care. Learn more and see how Valaya works online at mindhatch.ca. That's mindhatch.ca. Valaya AI, healthy skin and hair powered by artificial intelligence.
All right, we'll be back in just over a minute, guys. Hold on, let me look. Yep, just over a minute, and we'll be back. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'm going to go to the phones when we get back. The number is toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631, and I've got so much to cover still that I haven't gotten to, so let me queue up a couple things here. Okay. Yes, okay. All right, about 40 seconds and we'll be back. I've got so much to cover. Yep, the number's pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. 30 seconds and we'll be back. Hang in there. The show's flying by. We're over the halfway point. I can't believe it. 10 seconds. All right, we're back. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning. It's Ricochet. How you doing, Brian?
All right, man. What's up?
Good. Can you hear me okay? I'm on my headset.
You sound fine. Yeah, sounds like you're on a microphone.
Okay, good. Hey, in response to Richie, I believe he's MAGA. I mean, he's just concerned, but I want to, there's this stuff, shouldn't have taken the plane over there. Trump knows before they left Washington, they already knew what was going on. That plane they've had, it was already probably retrofitted. If Chef Ramsay can turn a hotel around or a restaurant around in 24 hours, darn good and well our military can do that plane in the time that it had. But they bait. It was a bait plane to draw out what Iran is doing. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. Say, oh, he's wishy-washy. It's like what you said. They already know what's going on, and they have to sometimes put people in danger or make something look so weird as to draw things out. And every time they stop bombing, they know that they're going to start doing something.
I'll tell you something that very well could be possible. One of the things that President Trump is majorly interested in is bringing leakers to justice. And that could have been a total misinformation campaign they threw out to try to smoke out a leaker, which there was one.
Yeah.
And they had a major operation at the White House led by Kash Patel to smoke out the leaker. And another thing with Michael Savage, who's going on about this, my guess is Michael Savage didn't get an invite to fly in the new Air Force One, so he's ticked off. So he's attacking the new Air Force One.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's so many. We're attacking this war on so many different factions, from either like you said, false information. We're putting a false story out or a lie, as everybody says that he does. They got to do that. It's they're baiting the people. They're looking at what's happening when they stop, so that when when Iran does shoot the missiles off, they say, okay, here's a new target. We know where they're coming from.
Exactly.
Because he doesn't want to wipe out the people. He doesn't want to wipe out whatever government is trying to be formed that is a legitimate democratic form of government. He just wants to take out these crazy people. And, every time he stops, it gives more information to us. And, it makes it look a little bit weak on the surface. But when you look at the pattern over the years, not just since he's been president, but his whole life, he has done things that make him kind of look bad at first. But when, years later, it turns out he was vindicated because he already knew. He already knew what was happening. So everything he's doing is for a reason that we don't know about yet.
This war on leakers are very dangerous. It's like in the Second World War when we captured the Enigma machine and kept it a secret. President Trump, they're doing all kinds. Kash Patel, after this incident with the new Air Force One, Kash Patel took over an office next to Susie Wiles at the White House and went through every member of the White House staff's government-issued cell phone looking for who was leaking to the New York Times. And they found two people. Yeah. One of them was doing the bets on the poly market, remember? So, my guess is they were smoking out leakers.
It very well could be. Trump is not the mastermind of all of this. Everybody's got to remember, Trump is part of the mastermind because of who he knew, with the Kennedys and his family, with the Nikola Tesla and all of these connections that he's had over the years. The military went to him how many times to do this, and it just wasn't the right time. So we got to remember, it's not Trump that's doing all of this. He's a big major part of it, but he has got so many, we had the Rothschilds, the Bilderbergs, all of those people in the deep state and the New World Order. Well, there's just the same amount and same powerful people on the white side of the side of things that we don't even know is involved. And they've got information just like the other side does. And it's the military operation that's doing this. And Trump is following orders as well as, executing some things of his own. But we got things way bigger than Trump involved in this.
That's
correct. And it's all for the right reason. And everything he does is strategically planned. And in 5 years from now, we'll figure out why they took the plane over there. I think it was a bait. They already knew they were going to put him on the other plane coming back. That was already done. It was a bait operation. And that's it. You got to trust Trump. Nobody's perfect. But at the same time, there's power
he's not going to take a risk going into a war zone on a plane that they can shoot down.
No,
with family members on board, his senior cabinet officials. Come on, that's not even credible.
Well, just like Melania and that lady calling the other day, she's so upset with Melania and don't understand why. And then all of a sudden we hear there was a reason why, and they knew about it beforehand. That's why they stopped doing these things. Now, everybody that, like Richie, he's MAGA, but we're all concerned. We all have questions. We're all worried, but it's okay, man.
Well, what it is with Richie, okay? It's like Michael Savage. A lot of these guys, they got little shallow egos, and they can't let it be. They don't want to be labeled like, oh, well, you always go. They want to be independent. They want to be labeled as independently minded people. So they have to be critical just to prove that. Hey, listen, I appreciate the call. Good points.
Yeah, take care.
All right, take care. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, mega conservative Doug. I would like to discuss that for a second.
A lot of people, by the way, I just give some background on Doug here. The reason Doug calls in as conservative Doug is we used to have this other Doug who was just a total nutbag, and we called him Angry Liberal Doug, and we didn't want to get the Dougs confused. That's why we used to have this other guy call in Greg, so then Greg too, so sometimes that's where the handle came from. And what happened with this guy, this Angry Liberal Doug, he called us for years, going back and forth with us, and he had this whole backstory that he was a charter boat captain of some big yacht out of South Florida. And then we found out he was a process server because he had served papers to someone Steve and I know, a friend of ours, that I'm still friends with today, and Steve too. And they recognized his voice, and because he called in so much when he delivered them pay, and that's a real scummy job. Process server is a scummy job, isn't it? That's a bottom feeder job.
Yeah,
they're bottom feed. They're like fluffers. If you know what a fluffer is, that they're at the same moral level as fluffers. Look it up. You'll learn something, and you'll get a chuckle. And so we started calling this Doug Conservative Doug, so he wasn't confused with that nutbag Angry Doug, the process server.
That's the main. That's one of the main reasons I called to clear the name of Doug, because I couldn't stand that guy.
Oh my goodness! Yes.
I'll talk about Mega in a second, but first, this hearing yesterday that was a joke. This Fauci guy. If Josh Hawley is correct, and you're not allowed to take the fifth once you've been pardoned. Hopefully they'll get him on some kind of charge that not doing something right to not speaking.
Well, I gave an example. I was just now. I know this is a TV show, but I was watching The Shield, the final episode of The Shield the other day. With Michael Chiklis.
Okay.
You ever watch that show?
Yeah. No, I never watched it.
Yeah, and he got an immunity deal. He murdered people, did all this stuff. But and by the way, this isn't just from a TV show. But you can only take the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination if you're going to incriminate yourself. And if you have immunity, you cannot incriminate yourself because you can't be prosecuted. Right? So the Fifth Amendment does not apply. And if I pulled that, I'd be in jail. They would have had the sergeant of arms arrest me yesterday and put me in a jail cell. Right? But I'm not Fauci.
Yeah, Fauci thinks he's above the law, which is another point.
He is. He is. Don't get it. He is. He is.
Contempt. I hope they'll get him on. And then I'm thinking if he made this $12 million, perhaps the IRS should take a look and see if his.
Well, that's the one thing that was surprised me, that he's only worth $12 million. I wonder if that's really all he's worth. I was surprised. And that scheme that he went through to get all those awards that were cash prizes with his staff. I mean, man. what a scummy man.
Man, this guy is one of the most hated people in America now because of what he did. But I mean, besides what he did to the country.
And look at what he did. Look at what Fauci did with the puppies, the dogs. I mean, just what he did with the dogs. I was talking a couple weeks ago about that dog rescue in Palm Beach, where they have over 2,000 beagles that were rescued from one of Fauci's labs, right? I mean, just what he did nothing else other than this animal testing that he did. I mean, that would that would be bad. You understand what I mean? There's nothing about him that's good. He is an evil, evil man.
He is the worst. I tell you, this country's had some bad people. This guy is right up in the top 10. Unbelievable, man. Maybe number one. What he did to this country and the cost how much it cost us. It's sickening. Anyway.
All right, Doug. I gotta run, but I'll give you the last word.
I hope they get him, and the last thing I'd like to say is, as MAGA, Trump does everything perfectly right. Why would it not be MAGA?
Exactly.
You have to trust this guy. He's done a great job.
Exactly. All right, Doug. Appreciate the call. Now, tomorrow, Jupiter Joe Thomas is going to be in studio with me. And, of course, I'm talking about annuities with Joe Thomas. And, Joe Thomas offers no-charge consultations, which you can take advantage of no matter where you're located. I'm going to give his number out in a moment, so go get something to write with. But, I was talking about one of our listeners who has a very good government pension. He's a retired police officer, and he has a great pension, but he retired like in the 90s. And what was a great pension in 98, 99 just isn't cutting it in 2026. And people are living longer than ever. People are living longer than the expectation of their retirement. And this particular listener, he's in one of our commercials because he called me on the air. Now he's in annuities. He's living the life of Riley. You know, another thing I was talking with Joe Thomas about a couple weeks ago, when people plan their retirement, there's one thing that I think people forget about a lot. Part of your retirement, no matter what your situation, is your Social Security. You and your spouse have your Social Security. Well, what happens when one of you dies? Your income just got cut. Now, the way it works is you get to take the Social Security check that's larger, right? Like if you're, if your husband's was larger and he passes, you take his, but you still lose one of those Social Security checks every month. Holy smokes. And that's something people don't think about in their retirement. But with that annuity income, where the money is deposited into your bank account the same day every month, you replace that lost Social Security check. You replace that income that the pension isn't keeping up with because you've lived beyond the expectation of your retirement. Give Joe Thomas a call. The consultation is free. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. That's 561-743-0999. And online, JupiterJoe.com. We'll be right back. All right. You callers on hold, stand by, all right? When we get back, I'll take some more calls. We got a lot more to cover, too, all right? The number to call is toll-free and pinned in the live chat.
Life can leave us with a lot of questions. Why did this happen to me? Why do I keep repeating the same patterns? And where is God in all of it? If you've ever asked those questions, you need to tune into the Healing Philosophers podcast with The Healing Philosopher on Spotify. Through honest conversations and real-life experiences, each episode explores topics like healing from past hurts, generational karma, letting go of what's holding you back, understanding narcissism, and discovering how God can use even life's hardest moments for a greater purpose. The Healing Philosophers podcast is about finding hope, growing in your faith, and realizing that your story and every season of your life has meaning. Add the Healing Philosophers podcast to your Spotify playlist and make sure to share the podcast on all your social media and invite your friends and family to listen in too. Your share could be exactly what someone else needs right now. The Healing Philosophers podcast with the Healing Philosopher on Spotify. Healing starts with one conversation. Listen now on Spotify.
All right, we're still in radio station break. We'll be back shortly. If you're on hold, stand by. I got a couple other things I want to bring up. I can't believe it's almost 8 o'clock already. The show is flying by. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are listening. And please, everyone, if you haven't done it already, please like the video. Hold on one second. Oh. Okay, hang in there. Hold on. Okay, we got about 30 seconds and we'll be back. Okay, hang in there. If you're on hold, stand by. I got another story or two I want to get to before I go back to the phones, but you're welcome to call in about anything we've discussed so far on the program. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are listening. All right, 20 seconds. Oh, my goodness. I tell you, it's one of those days. One of those days. A friend of mine just texted me. He said, your phone's not on silence. I can hear you getting text over the radio. I forgot to put it at Do Not Disturb. All right. We're back. I'm Brian. Okay, now if you're on hold, hang in there. There's a couple things I want to get to before we take some more calls. But this is CNN yesterday, and this is Democrat Senator Andy Kim on CNN.
Are you aware of any instance where these people voting affected the outcome of an election in New Jersey?
Nothing that I'm aware of. At least that's what the governor has said in terms of a rundown. And again, we need to make sure that we don't have these problems again, and that the people of New Jersey feel, and frankly around the country, that they feel assured about the integrity of their election at a time when that is so often used for weaponization and so much used by this administration, the Trump administration, to sow doubt in people's democracy.
Oh, my goodness. So it's really interesting, the evolution of the liberal talking points. You know, a couple weeks ago, there was nothing wrong with the voter rolls, no evidence of non-citizens, of illegals. Now we've got all kinds of evidence, right? And on top of the evidence, we find out that they're voting. And so the Democrats are now saying, well, yeah, there are non-citizens voting. There's instances of many people that are non-citizens by the thousands registered. But now, even though what we said wasn't true for years is true, that the non-citizens are voting, they're registered, it's not a problem. They haven't overturned any elections. Are you kidding me? 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago, it wasn't happening. And I've been hearing that my whole life. Now it is happening, but don't worry, nothing to see here. Just let it give me a break. These people. Here's Bernie Sanders on with Caitlin Collins on CNN.
What does it say to you in terms of how the president is viewing the midterms?
Look, you have a president, again, who in my view does not believe in democracy or the rule of law. He's an authoritarian. He will probably try to do every possible thing he can do to make it harder for people to vote. If you're disabled, if you're a person of color, so forth and so on.
What does that mean? Disabled people do not have identification? Of course, it is 2026. Everyone has identification, especially people that are disabled because they have health insurance, they have things you need, and they have to show ID to get government benefits and such. And then he starts talking about people of color. Is that coded language for black people, Bernie?
Authoritarian. He will probably try to do every possible thing he can do to make it harder for people to vote. If you're disabled, if you're a person of color. So,
you know, this is one of the most racist things I've ever heard. And this is an old talking point that they're bringing back now. People of color, code word for black people. Black people don't have photo ID? Who in the United States does not have government-issued photo ID who is a citizen eligible to vote? How can you get through life without photo ID? You can't get a job. You can't drive a car. You can't even go to the hospital. You know, when they talk about the poor of the poor, the poorest of the poor. Have you ever gone to an emergency room? You have to show photo ID to go to. This is one of the things that came out of the COVID period. You can't even go to the emergency room, not as a patient. I mean, like if you go to the emergency room with your spouse, you have to show photo ID that they scan, and then they print up a sticker for you to put on your shirt, right? Everyone in the United States has photo ID. Bernie Sanders is back, I don't know if he's lying or he's just back in the 50s or the 20s of the 1900s.
Not believe in democracy or the rule of law. He's an authoritarian. He will probably try to do every possible thing he can do to make it harder for people to vote. If you're disabled, if you're a person of color, so forth and so on. And we have to be prepared for that.
Yeah, you have to be prepared for only people that have photo ID to vote. That's right, Bernie Sanders. Be prepared. I think about all the times in my life that I've left my house and I've had to come all the way back home because I forgot my driver's license. Did any of you ever have that experience? Before we break at the top of the hour, if you're on hold, hang in there. We'll take more calls after the top of the hour break. Did any of you see the wedding pictures of Marjorie Trader Green and Brian Glenn in Las Vegas? I saw this, and these wedding pictures, I'm not saying they're not married, okay? But their happiness is a little too over the top. These two, they take these, they go to Vegas, they got married finally, and it looks forced to me. Like, oh, we're so happy. This is where we want to be, and we're this and we're that. It's just pathetic. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know what the story is with Marjorie Trader Green. It's very disappointing. My question is, did Brian Glenn sign a prenup? Marjorie Trader Green is a homewrecker. Brian Glenn left his wife and his career for her, and she's made all these many millions of dollars, but she made the millions before they got married this week in Vegas. So that's not marital property. Do you guys think that Brian Glenn signed a prenup from his sugar mama there before they got married? What do you think? I think so. And I'll tell you another thing. I liked both of them. I didn't know they were traitors, and I liked Brian Glenn back when he was at Right Side, and then when he left Right Side, he was with who was he with? Was he with Newsday? What news outlet was he with when he was a White House reporter? He had that really great exchange with Zelensky about the suit and everything else. It was really good. He was really good. He's given up his career. He's walked away from his wife, and now he's got this sugar mama. And I'll tell you, this is my observation. Brian Glenn looks, every time I see Brian Glenn, since he left his wife for Marjorie Trader Green, he always looks like he was at a party until 4 a.m, doesn't he? He just doesn't look well. He just doesn't. And now, now he's a kept man, and he and his new bride, I wonder, did he change his last name to hers? Is he Brian Green now? Is she Marjorie Trader Glenn now? Did she change her name? I don't know. You got to wonder, which name did he take? Oh, my goodness. But I don't think this is a marriage that's going to last. And what's he going to do if Marjorie Trader Green falls in love with some hunky beach bum bartender down in Costa Rica and drops him? He's left his wife, he's left his career, and she's got all the money. He'll be in some trouble. All right, 2 hours down, 1 to go. My name is Brian Craig. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. On the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. Our number is toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. We'll take our break for the top of the hour, come back with your calls and more right after this. All right, guys, hang in there.
Our world is filled with confusion, deception, and uncertainty. Where can you turn for the truth? Bible Prophecy and Truth is a Christ-centered ministry dedicated to proclaiming the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ and shining the light of God's Word into a world darkened by deception. Discover powerful videos that explain what the Bible says about salvation and what you must do to be saved. Explore fascinating teachings on Bible prophecy, the rapture. There's also an in-depth creation versus evolution study that will strengthen your faith and deepen your understanding of Scripture. And that's just the beginning. Whether you're a lifelong believer, a new Christian, or simply searching for answers, Bible Prophecy and Truth offers biblical teaching rooted in God's truth. Visit videos.prophecyandtruth.com. That's videos.prophecyandtruth.com and discover the truth, strengthen your faith, and grow closer to Jesus Christ. Videos.prophecyandtruth.com.
All right, guys, hang in there. We'll be back shortly. Hold on. Let's see the exact time. Okay, we'll be back shortly, guys. I'm just queuing some things up for the next segment. So you got to give me a minute. Let's see. Second. We got about a little over a minute. We'll be back. Okay. Less than a minute. We'll be back, guys. Oh, if you're on hold, stand by, stand by. Somebody just left me a message on YouTube. They said that Marjorie Trader Green is not a homewrecker. He left his wife on his own. They're both homewreckers, right? They started having the affair before they left their spouses. They're both homewreckers. That's not good. And they hang out with Massey. What kind of people hang out with Massey? Would you, please? If I was hanging out with Massey, what would you guys think of me? Oh, and you'd be right to think it. All right, stand by. All right, the 8 o'clock hour has begun. You know, a listener sent me a message online during the break and said, Marjorie Trader Green. Well, they said Taylor Green. But Marjorie Taylor Green isn't a homewrecker. Brian Glenn left his wife. They're both homewreckers, okay? They were having the affair before they left their spouses. She was married, he was married. They're both homewreckers. All right? That's you know. And the other thing about Marjorie Trader Green, she says she's the true American patriot, not Trump. How many American patriots move out of the country? She moved to Costa Rica, okay? So with her boy toy. So how many patriots do you know, American patriots, who move out of the country? All right, now the Democrats running for office around the country, they like to do Zoom meetings. And these Zoom meetings and Zoom town halls they're doing all over the place, they're leaking out. And this is a Democrat running for Congress in Iowa.
We are seeing
Bohannon or something is her name, something like that.
We are seeing truck drivers being taken into custody at way stations.
That's right, you are. You know, and on the side of the roads too. You know, it's amazing. Here's another. I was talking about this yesterday. Malcolm X, he said, beware the liberal white women. They're the danger. Liberal white women. Yes, that's correct. We are taking truck drivers that are in the country illegally, that are illegally on the road, driving big rigs illegally. We're arresting them at way stations. That's where you catch them.
We are seeing truck drivers being taken into custody at way stations. We're seeing, farmhands being taken, meat packing workers. I mean, these are.
But first of all, the farmhands, not true. President Trump ordered ICE not to deport at the farms, remember?
All people who work really hard and frankly are pretty important to Iowa's economy and to our communities.
Yeah, well, how are we gonna survive without those illegal truck drivers? Yeah, it really, if you think about this now, can you think? And this is a serious question I'll throw out to you. And you Democrats, you never Trumpers, you liberals, this should be the easiest question I ever ask you to answer, okay? Name me the last thing that Democrats did that was good and benefited the citizens of the United States. The last thing the Democrats did that was good and benefited the citizens of the United States. Simple question, isn't it? You know, I was watching Caitlin Collins from CNN. I've seen her a few times in the last couple of days. She was on with Jon Stewart, and this clip I played before the break with Bernie Sanders. Have you noticed she's been smiling? Yeah, she's been smiling. You know, President Trump made that joke about how she never smiles at the White House Correspondents' Dinner over the weekend, and she's doing it. But she doesn't want Trump to get credit for getting her to do it. And he's right. She never smiled. She always looks ticked off. And I have seen her smiling several times, and she never smiles. I've seen her smile at least twice, maybe 3 times since the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And she's doing it because of Trump. You know, and I was thinking about this when she was on with Jon Stewart. She was smiling a lot. And Jon Stewart Do you remember before Tucker Carlson years before Tucker Carlson went to Fox? Remember, he used to be on CNN, and he co-hosted Crossfire on CNN for years. And he used to be a pundit, was on TV all the time. Do you remember what was Tucker Carlson famous for when he was at CNN and before? What was he famous? Do you guys remember? He was famous for something. He had a trademark. Do you remember what it was? What was Tucker Carlson's trademark when he was at CNN and before? Do any of you remember? It involved an article of clothing. Think about it. Know what it was? He wore a bow tie. He used to wear bow ties. That's right. He wore bow ties when he co-hosted Crossfire, and I used to see him for years on TV, and he wore bow ties. Well, when Jon Stewart was on Crossfire back in the early days, did you guys ever see this? On the early days of The Daily Show, when Jon Stewart was originally on The Daily Show, it was like highly rated, and it was one of the political shows of record in the country, certainly for the liberals. It kind of replaced Meet the Press after Tim Russert died. Do you know why? And he had Caitlin Collins on this week, and now he's back on The Daily Show. Nobody pays attention. But do you know why Tucker Carlson stopped wearing bow ties? Do any of you know? Why did Tucker Carlson stop wearing his signature bow ties? Do you know? Jon Stewart got him to stop. And Jon Stewart was on Crossfire, and he cleaned Tucker Carlson's clock in a debate. Now Jon Stewart was nasty, but he has a history of doing stand-up comedy, and it's hard to go up against a stand-up. They really are, right? And you see that from time to time with Bill Maher because he's a stand-up, and they have a lot of skills. And Jon Stewart, I saw this live when it happened on Crossfire with Tucker Carlson. It was many years ago because he left CNN, went to MSNBC, and then the Fox. So this goes way back. And he started making fun of Tucker's bow ties. Like, what are you wearing this bow tie for? What are you, a child? Little boys wear bow ties. And he stopped wearing it. And that bow tie was Tucker Carlson's whole persona. His whole identity was that bow tie, and he stopped wearing it because of Jon Stewart. Well, Caitlin Collins, it's true. Caitlin Collins is smiling now because of Donald Trump, right? That's right. And she's still nasty, and her smiles are so awkward and uncomfortable. But Donald Trump got her to smile. I've seen her smile twice, maybe 3 times. But she smiled on the Bernie Sanders interview, and she smiled on Jon Stewart. I might have seen another clip, but it might have been from the same show Bernie Sanders was on. So I'll count that as one. But it's really amazing how. And let me tell you, Tucker. That was the biggest humiliation Tucker Carlson ever experienced until he went on Dancing with the Stars. And then when he went on Dancing with the Stars, he should not have done. I wouldn't go on Dancing with the Stars. Not that I'm a star, but you know what I mean. I can't dance, and Tucker can't either. But the Dancing with the Stars moment is more embarrassing than the bow tie with Jon Stewart. But Jon Stewart cleaned Tucker's clock. All right, now we're coming up on the first break of the 8 o'clock hour, but I just want to mention one last story, then we'll break, and then we'll get to some more calls after the break. 888-465-2631. I saw a story that really surprised me. Boy George, this is in Breitbart. Here's the headline. Boy George, Boy George of Culture Club, Carmen Chameleon, all that stuff. Boy George infuriates Israel haters with new song titled We Will Dance Again, which honors the October 7th victims in Israel. I am in shock. Boy George is very left-wing and gay, and he's one of those. My wife and I saw Boy George in Culture Club in concert years ago, and all he did, but he was talking about the 80s a lot, because that's when Boy George and Culture Club were super famous. And between songs, he would start talking about the 80s. and he was bashing Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher like they were still alive and in office. It was very strange. And Boy George, though, you may not remember this, he was on The Celebrity Apprentice with Donald Trump. So he knows Donald Trump from being on The Apprentice. And to have a liberal, lifelong liberal gay man do a song that is pro-Israel and pro the October 7th victims is pretty shocking to me. I was blown away. I'm not really interested in hearing the song. I might pull it up and listen to it today. I mean, if you're going to listen to Boy George and Culture Club, you want to hear Karma Chameleon or, one of those songs. You're not really interested in anything new with your classic guys you grew up with, right? But I give him credit for that. I guess he's kind of made his money and he doesn't care anymore because he'll be totally cut off, especially since he spends his time between New York and England. He'll be totally cut off from all of his friends. All right, we'll take our first break of the 8 o'clock hour. Come back with your calls and more. It's the Steve Kane Show. My name's Brian. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. We'll be right back.
Hi, Tom Laporta here. We are Laporta Roofing, a family business since 1983. You are our customer. In other words, our boss. We are here for and because of you, not the other way around. The 2026 rainy season is upon us. Because we haven't had a hurricane in 2 years, all the storm chaser roofing companies have gone out of business, leaving only the strongest and the best contractors. At Laporta Roofing, we will never sell you a roof you don't need. We don't have salesmen or commissions, so we will never pressure you to sign a contract. Also, deposits are not required. At Laporta Roofing, you will always come first. We must earn your trust, and we will. So call me on my cell at 954-604-4602 or find us on the web at laportaroofing.com. That number again is 954-604-4602, 954-604-4602, or on the web at laportaroofing.com.
Some of life's most meaningful memories can come from something as simple as a familiar scent. And that's the inspiration behind Heavenly Scents, a handcrafted Etsy shop created from love, healing, and the memory of a cherished mother whose warmth and kindness continue to inspire every product. After struggling for years with sensitive skin, eczema, and unexplained hives, the creator of Heavenly Scents began making gentle goat milk body products using simple ingredients she could trust. What started as a personal journey soon became a passion for creating products that are as soothing to the skin as they are comforting to the soul. From rich, moisturizing goat milk soaps to beautifully scented body products, every item is handcrafted with care to help you relax, refresh, and enjoy a little everyday luxury. Whether you're searching for a thoughtful gift or treating yourself to something special, discover the handmade difference at Heavenly Scents online at heavenlyscents3.etsy.com. That's the number 3, heavenlyscents3.etsy.com. Visit the shop right now, view the inventory, and find the scent that feels like home. heavenlyscents3.etsy.com.
All right, we'll be back in less than a minute, guys. Hang in there. Hang in there. Oh, man. If you're on hold, hang in there. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free. It's pinned in the live chat. It's toll-free no matter where you're listening. 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. Okay. About 20 seconds. All right, we're back. It's Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian. I want to take a moment to talk about Friendly Tire in Margate. I recently, just a couple weeks ago, got new tires at Friendly Tire in Margate. And, I'd mentioned to you when I got those tires, I went over to the dealer for an oil change because I get free oil changes, right, when I bought the car. And they told me I needed new tires. And I just so I could compare to Friendly Tire, I asked them for the price. I thought they were joking. I've got 4 new tires at Friendly Tire in Margate for less than the dealership wanted for 1. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. You know, at Friendly Tire in Margate, you can get new tires out the door and on the road for as low as $75 a tire. And when I say out the door and on the road, what I mean by that is Friendly Tire doesn't charge you to balance the tire, mount the tire, or dispose of your old tire. So the price that Mike gives you over the phone at Friendly Tire is the out the door, on the road price. New tires as low as $75 a tire out the door and on the road. And that's on some of the most common sizes on some of the most popular vehicles on the road today. All right. He has thousands of good used tires in stock too, as low as $35 a tire out the door and on the road. And he also does tire repairs, which other places will not do. Give him a call. He'll give you a quote right over the phone. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. That's 954-977-9445 for Friendly Tire in Margate. I just saw this story a little while ago, and I'm glad to see this because the other day I was talking about this and I felt alone. But we're just over a month away from the 25th anniversary of 9/11, and there's now a online petition that is gaining a lot of steam, calling to ban Mamdani from the event. And I saw the president was asked about it in the Oval Office press conference yesterday. And Patricia Heaton, the actress from The Middle and Everybody Loves Raymond, she is involved in this. This is in the Daily Mail. A petition seeking to ban New York City Mayor Zohan Mamdani from this year's 9/11 anniversary events has received support from a voice in Hollywood. Actress Patricia Heaton has backed the petition, calling to bar Mamdani, age 34. 34? What has this guy done at the age of 34 that put him in charge of a city that's the most important city in the world from attending the 9/11 remembrance events due to his public postings, associations, and responses to rhetoric that may be perceived as hostile to American values on the anniversary, and it goes on. He's going to go. All right, he's going to go because he doesn't care, And the problem that people really have, I hear so many people talking about Mamdani, and they really just don't get it, and they don't understand Mamdani. They don't understand what Mamdani is about. Like this story this week where he publicized all that information on the property owners that own multiple properties. Which is insane. And I can't even believe it's legal, but he did it. Maybe it's not. He doesn't care, right? Or the other day he's talking about reparations for slavery. I was talking about that yesterday, going to the 9/11 event. And, a lot of people he's not going to get reelected. He doesn't care. But, these liberals in New York are so woke, I wouldn't be so sure that he wouldn't get reelected. I really wouldn't. But he doesn't care. If he doesn't get reelected, he doesn't get reelected. If the polls are against him and he doesn't think he'll get reelected, he won't run. He'll run for the Senate or become the head of CARE or something. When Mamdani goes to the 9/11 25th anniversary event, it's so offensive I don't have to tell you. Everybody knows. Come on. But he doesn't care because he's doing it for the Middle Eastern world, the Muslim world. Mamdani being at Ground Zero on the 25th anniversary event is going to be a major story in all of the Islamic world. Everyone knows this. Television, online, everything. And that's who it's for. And the message that it's sending is they won the war on terror, that we lost. And it's really sad. I'm not going to watch it. They used to do something on MSNBC. They stopped doing this. But remember on MSNBC, they did it for years. They ran their live coverage of September 11th all day long. They used to do it every year, and they stopped doing that. Probably because Matt Lauer was in a lot of it, right? And Matt Lauer's got a very checkered history since then, things he was doing at that time. But that was a very important. That was probably the only thing that MSNBC ever did that was halfway decent, because I used to watch that coverage because they reran it in real time, and I used to watch it. And Ashley Banfield was there, and Matt Lauer, and a bunch of other people, and it was a way to remember what happened and how frightening it was and how scary it was. And the idea that the people of New York City would forget about it, I never thought that day would come. I really didn't. It was such a horrific event. But there's been so much immigration into New York City, and the younger generation that were born after or were babies when it happened haven't really learned about it. And you used to see when these 9/11 anniversaries would come up, you used to see these just interviews with people that would just rip your heart out. There was this, I can't remember her name, but there's this one woman that would do interviews a lot who was late to work that day, and she's the only person from her company that's alive, right? Yeah, I mean, you hear these kind of stories, and you don't hear that anymore because they want you to forget. Because it's amazing how quickly people can forget things that are so horrific. Whether it's the Holocaust or 9/11. And not only is Mamdani going to be there, I think the press, for the most part, are going to make it like it's an honorable thing. Rush Limbaugh, I can't remember what the specific instance was. I think it involved Jihad Johnny. Remember Jihad Johnny? There was this California liberal kid who got arrested by the government. He was fighting for the Taliban against the United States, and he got captured there. Jihad Johnny Walker Lynch. He did 20 years. He's a free man now. And it was when that case was going on, he took part, even though he was a white American kid from California, and he became a Muslim after reading the autobiography of Malcolm X, which should be, when he was in high school or something. And he took part in that prison uprising of Taliban prisoners where that one CIA officer was killed. Remember all of that? And I remember it was involving Jihad Johnny Walker Lynch. Rush was talking about it, and liberals were very sympathetic towards him. He was being interviewed on CNN and everything, you remember? And Rush Limbaugh made such a great point. He said, to liberals, 9/11 was like a one-day event. It happened, and now it's over. And he said conservatives understand, and this was a couple years later. He said liberals, that it's a one-day event, but conservatives understand that we're still living through 9/11 now. And even 25 years later, we are in many ways, but not in New York City where Ground Zero is. Isn't that something? That's why when they rebuilt the buildings, they didn't rebuild replicas of the original trade towers. I saw Donald Trump, when they were taking bids and design ideas to rebuild at Ground Zero, I saw Donald Trump on Cavuto on Fox, and he had an idea. He says, I want to rebuild the same two towers. This is what Donald Trump said long before he came down the escalator. He says, I want to rebuild exact replicas of both World Trade Center towers, make each one story higher as an FU to the guys that knocked him down. And the reason that they built this building that doesn't resemble anything and is so that people would forget. Really. That's what it was. They don't want people to remember 9/11, because if people remembered 9/11 on the left, they would understand what President Trump is doing with Iran right now. And that one of the reasons there's many reasons, but one of the reasons there's so much resistance to the American mission against Iran is because they don't understand or remember 9/11. And building a building that doesn't look like the Trade Center towers was a part of that, erasing the history of 9/11. All right, listen, we're going to take our break for the bottom of the... Oh, Sloman Central Air Conditioning. I got to talk about Sloman's. If your air conditioning is running all day, it shouldn't do that, right? If you have a unit that's working properly, it'll cool your house and it'll shut off for a while. If your unit is running all day, it's not operating properly. If you have rooms in your house that no matter what you do, they're hot, oh man, if your air conditioner is blowing hot air, stop the suffering. Call Sloman Central Air Conditioning. And with their offer and their pricing, there's no excuse not to do it. Listen to this. With Sloman Central Air Conditioning, you can get a high-efficiency 5-ton, 18-SEER system that uses R454B refrigerant for just $59.99 with zero down, zero payments, and zero interest for 18 months. It also comes with a 5-year bumper-to-bumper service plan that includes annual system maintenance, filter replacements, and refrigerant. And you'll also receive the Sloman Shield home security system installed with 5 years of professional central station monitoring included with your AC package. That is amazing. Give them a call right now. 561-217-COOL. That's COOL. 561-217-COOL. 561-217-COOL. We'll be right back.
From author Tyree Carter comes your next must-read book that makes a great addition to your book club. It Happened in Vegas. Vegas was the lie. Love was the truth. Available on Amazon. 4 years. That's how long Hinyel has spent trying to silence the memories of a bitter divorce, pouring every ounce of her soul into her designs. Raul knows all too well how fragile life can be. Still mourning the loss of his wife to cancer, he's built a life of cold control until he meets the woman who could thaw his guarded heart. He wasn't looking to love again. She wasn't looking to trust. But in a city built on neon dreams, they might just find a second chance neither dared to hope for. It Happened in Vegas. Sometimes the biggest risk is opening your heart. Get your copy today on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover. It Happened in Vegas. Vegas was the lie. Love was the truth. From author Tyree Carter on Amazon. Our world is filled with confusion, deception, and uncertainty. Where can you turn for the truth? Bible Prophecy and Truth is a Christ-centered ministry dedicated to proclaiming the gospel of the Lord Jesus Christ and shining the light of God's Word into a world darkened by deception. Discover powerful videos that explain what the Bible says about salvation and what you must do to be saved. Explore fascinating teachings on Bible prophecy, the rapture. There's also an in-depth creation versus evolution study that will strengthen your faith and deepen your understanding of Scripture. And that's just the beginning. Whether you're a lifelong believer, a new Christian, or simply searching for answers, Bible Prophecy and Truth offers biblical teaching rooted in God's truth. Visit videos.prophecyandtruth.com. That's videos.prophecyandtruth.com and discover the truth, strengthen your faith, and grow closer to Jesus Christ. Videos.prophecyandtruth.com.
All right, we are in radio break for about 1 more minute, so hang in there, guys. If you're on hold, stand by. I'll go to the phones as well when we get back. I'm just queuing a couple things up I wanted to cover. Hold on. Oh, my goodness. Where is that? Okay, stand by. About 25 seconds and we'll be back. We're back. My name's Brian. This is the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Our number is toll-free, 888-465-2631, 2631. We have a really, for the most part, a good Supreme Court. We have two fake Republicans, of course, that really let us down. And of course, the Chief Justice, John Roberts, we've been talking about him since 2010 in the Obamacare ruling. He's been letting us down. But Amy Coney Barrett, she flipped on this birthright citizenship. And the experts have been studying her decisions. And it's really, she really should resign. She is not, she's not capable of serving any longer. So remember when the Roe v. Wade decision was coming down, somebody inside the Supreme Court clerk's office had leaked it out. And then there were these threats. And then Amy Coney Barrett testified about a week or two ago to Congress.
Personally, they have required me to, my children, to think about and see things that children should not have to see or think about. One example is when threats to my life were particularly intense a few years ago, around the time of the Dobbs leak. My security detail sent me home with a bulletproof vest, and I carried it into my house, put it into my bedroom, dropped it down on a table, turned around, and my 12-year-old son was standing in the doorway of my bedroom, and he wanted to know what it was and why I had it, and I didn't know how to respond because maybe I lack imagination, but I didn't expect that performing this service was going to put me in the position of explaining to my children what a bulletproof vest was and why I had to wear one. It's also been reported in the news that roughly 6 weeks ago, I was the victim of a swatting incident. At that point, my teenage son, one of my teenage sons, opened the door to go out with friends and saw in our street, it was full of police cars, who had responded to a false report of gunshots and raised voices in my home. I was very, very grateful that I had Supreme Court police outside my home because they were able to stop and meet with and explain to the county police that it had been a false alarm, and so the police did not actually attempt to enter our home. Many of us, me included, have received threatening anonymous deliveries designed to intimidate and harass us. They are often sent in the name of Judge Salas's son, who I think, as you mentioned in the beginning, Mr. Chairman, is deceased because he was killed by a disgruntled lawyer who showed up at Judge Salas's home intending to kill her, but her son, 20 years old at the time, opened the door and took the bullet instead. Her husband, standing behind, was seriously injured. So I think the message on these deliveries being sent in his name is clear. As Justice Kagan said, federal judges across the country, throughout the judiciary, including the Supreme Court, continue to do their jobs without fear or favor, but the threat level is really high.
Okay. Now, I don't blame her for being afraid. You know, she's got kids, she's got a family, and these are scary threats. There's no doubt about it. Okay? No doubt about it. And she's got every right to be fearful. However, some people have been studying her decisions and how she's ruled on the Supreme Court before the threats. Remember, the threats began with the Dobbs case, which was the Roe v. Wade reversal. The threats to the Supreme Court began when that leaked out, and it continues still today. Listen to this. Before the Roe v. Wade case, the Dobbs case, Amy Coney Barrett voted with the conservative position 81% of non-unanimous cases. So 81% in non-unanimous cases, she was with the conservatives. Since then, that number has dropped sharply into the 50 to 60% range in major cases where there's not a unanimous decision. So not only is she terrified, and I understand. Believe me, I understand her being terrified. These are scary people. They're liberals. And all those threats she's talking about and everything else, those are real. No doubt about it. Because they've been documented. It's a very high profile. And this is a new thing that Supreme Court justices have had to deal with. But that's the new American left. But when you see how it's affected her decision making, have they intimidated her to not resign? You know, she could resign with honor. People would understand this, you know. If she came forward and said she's resigning because of these threats and everything else, and that she cannot be a fair, impartial Supreme Court Associate Justice, people would understand that. I would understand it, wouldn't you? But instead, she's gone to this route of John Roberts. And, you know, here's the thing. We've seen this with John Roberts, and we see this with Amy Coney Barrett. In cases that aren't earth-shattering, they let them vote with the conservatives so they save face. But on the big ones, birthright citizenship, Obamacare, they don't. As an example, if this had happened with Amy Coney Barrett prior to the Roe v. Wade Dobbs case, she would have voted with the liberals on that, right? If the Roe v. Wade case was in front of the Supreme Court right now, Amy Coney Barrett would have voted with the liberals. That's how afraid she is. And she's even afraid to resign. And it's interesting because she's very comfortable talking to the Congress about the threats, and she's trying to get more security. But you see what's going on with her voting. Not only should she resign, she should be called on to resign. And, you know, yesterday, I couldn't believe what I saw yesterday. I saw someone interviewing John Hinckley, who, of course, was the man who shot Reagan, okay, and Brady. And I'm watching this guy interview Hinckley, and I couldn't believe I was watching it. How is a man who shot a president of the United States free? He's been free for years, and he's doing interviews. Well, it's because he shot a Republican. If he would have shot a Democrat, he'd still be in prison. And, you know, the left have a long history of violence. Look at Bill Ayers and everything else. The liberal violence is not new, okay? But what's changed about it is that it's viewed as acceptable beyond the fringes. The fringe radical revolutionaries are now, they found a home with the mainstream Democrats, and that's the problem. But not only should Amy Coney Barrett resign, there should be major calls on her to resign from Republicans around the country. And I worry about her. She could resign, go back to Notre Dame and be a professor, and she'll always have the title of justice. You don't lose the title. And I don't know if she's been there long enough to get their pension, but she'll be fine. She'll go and write books. She'll be on the lecture circuit. She'll be fine. But she's either on the Supreme Court still because she's afraid to resign, or it's an ego trip. And I don't know. I don't know which one it is, but I'm thinking more is that she's afraid to resign. And you would think that John Roberts and others have talked to her about this, because her votes have changed and are so out of character. And when you see people do things that are so out of character, that's when you got to start at, well, why? Why are they doing these things that are so out of character? And with Amy Coney Barrett, there's only one thing, and that's these threats that she's talking about. And when she testified in front of Congress a couple weeks ago, it was almost like a cry for help, and nobody was listening. You know why? Because the establishment in Washington, this is where they want her. This permanent Washington class, this is why they hate Trump. They haven't been able to intimidate Trump. They tried to blackmail Trump. When Trump, when they realized he was a viable candidate, they started doing. Remember what they did to Sarah Palin? Sarah Palin kind of came out of nowhere when she got picked to be the running mate for John McCain. Do you remember what they did? The Democrats sent this was a true story. This was widely reported. The Democrats sent investigators to Alaska with cash money, a lot of it, briefcases filled with cash money, going around paying people for dirt on Sarah Palin. They didn't find anything. They made up a couple of stories. They came up that she had when she was in college. This is how the left operate, right? When she was in college, they found out that she went out on a date and had sex with a basketball player who was black. So they released this story, thinking that Republicans are racist, And if we heard that Sarah Palin in college had sex with a black basketball player because we're racist, we would drop our support for Sarah Palin. It was so absurd. But, when this is what the left do. And when they have people they can't control, they do other things, right? And you've seen what they've done to President Trump because they can't control him. They tried. That's what the Russia was about. The Russia. The dossier was about trying to get control. They investigated him and found nothing. And I was very surprised. I found it hard to believe because he had this image of being this New York Studio 54 playboy, and we found out that was just an image. He's not a playboy. I was surprised that he didn't even drink alcohol. Now, I want to tell you guys about Dr. Appleton and his laser away pain treatment. And, this is another one of these messages that is, in so many ways, a public service announcement. Because, when I, as I was getting older and started having all these aches and pains, and I just told me, well, that's, I'm getting older now. That's just life. And I would think about my grandparents. Well, the reason my grandparents were living in pain when I was a kid is because Dr. Appleton and his robotic laser away pain treatment wasn't around in the 80s, but it's around now. And it works. What the robotic laser actually does is repair the damage in your body that's causing the pain. And that's why when he's rid me of pain 7 times, the pains have never returned. The pains he's relieved me of, arthritis, one was from a car accident many years ago, falling off my skateboard. And I retired the skateboard. I still have it in the garage. And every once in a while, I think about riding it, but because if I fall and get hurt, I'll just go see Dr. Appleton again. But by the way, Dr. Appleton, if you're listening, I haven't seen you in a while. It's because you've rid me of pain and I haven't gotten hurt. But the next time I'm in pain, the next time I fall and hurt myself, I'll be right over there. But the shoulder pain that he rid me of, I remember, you guys, if you were listening that day, I was on the air. And I'd fallen off my skateboard, hurt my shoulder, and the way that it felt, the front of my shoulder felt like someone had taken a Ginsu steak knife and stuck it in the muscle of my shoulder and was cutting the muscle. The side felt like Mike Tyson, when he was the champ, was punching me. It felt that bad. And I went to see Dr. Appleton, and I said, Doc, I'm going to need all of your miracle working today. I'm in so much pain. He examined me, and he moved my arm, and it hurt so bad, I about fell on the floor, and I was in practically in tears. He treated me with the robotic laser. I saw relief after the very first treatment. He gave me my treatments, and the pain is gone, and it has not returned. Call Dr. Appleton and say bye-bye to your pain, too. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. All right, we'll take our last break of the day, come back with the Gold Report and more after this. All right, and it's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated in Boca with the Morning Gold and Precious Metals Report. William Youngerman, how are the metals looking today?
Metals looking pretty firm after yesterday's test of the $4,000 number again, and then bouncing off of that and running all the way up to $4,116 before pulling back to $4,065.20. That was the close on the day, up $37.40. Much of that on the Fed speak that they did not raise the interest rates, and it doesn't look like they're going to do it anytime soon. The market's gyrating all over those numbers, and the stock market falling some 1,150 points yesterday. But gold managed to keep its gains of $37. Silver was up 53 cents, closing out the day at $57.53. Platinum was up $7 at $1,609, and palladium lost $6 at $12.38. Overnight, we saw gold trade in a range of $4,028 on the low, all the way up to $4,101. Gold currently at $4,076, up $10.80. Silver $57.90 the ounce, up 37 cents. Platinum $1,613, up $4, and palladium up $25 at $1,263. So the markets continue in these ranges, but those ranges are going to start narrowing, and we're going to see a breakout, I believe, either by tomorrow or by first part of next week. We could see gold break either to the upside or the downside. It still remains to be seen, but it's looking more and more like it could be to the upside. After seeing the way we keep bouncing off that $4,000 number and a lot of buying coming into the market around those numbers. So,
you know, when we talk about the metals, we talk about an ounce sizes, and a lot of people may say, well, you know, with these record high prices I'm hearing all the time, I can't afford an ounce of gold. But there's really, with fractional gold, which if you could talk about for a moment, William, fractional gold, there's really gold out there for pretty much everyone's budget.
Absolutely. Most of the major bullion coins that are produced by the United States, Canada, and Australia all come in sizes of like 1/10, quarter, and half ounce sizes, which are the very best of the smaller fractional coins you can buy, as well as, of course, the smaller gold bars. You can get gold bars as small as 1 gram. That's like 130. There's 31.1 grams in an ounce, so there's something for everybody. And of course, you can always buy silver too. So silver's some used to call it the poor man's gold.
Absolutely.
But each of those commodities have excellent reasons to own them.
Well,
and,
well, that's absolutely right. And one thing I like about the fractional gold is if you need money, maybe you don't need $4,000, right? So if you need a little, you know, with the fractional gold, you don't have to unload a full ounce too when you need some money.
That's correct. Yeah, it's a good reason to own at least some fractional gold in your portfolio. Mm-hmm. And I believe gold. We will see $10,000 gold in the years ahead.
Oh,
so
yes.
It's going to be an excellent reason to own some smaller fractional gold.
Absolutely. Listen, give William Youngerman a call. He opens up at 10 a.m. 800-327-5010. 800-327-5010. Or stop in at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. And you can find both his address and phone number online at williamyoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, take care, and we'll finish out the week tomorrow.
Okay, have a great day. Thank you.
All right, take care. Okay, now, you know, the Fauci hearings, somebody had asked earlier, well, what point is there to it? He's not going to go to jail. And I was talking about how it was important for those things to be said yesterday for the historical record. And then I came across, this is CNN yesterday. This is astounding. CNN yesterday on the Fauci hearings.
112 times to invoke the Fifth Amendment. I mean, you can't even string all that together. That obviously, it sends a message. Will that strategy work? Because he says, well, I had to do that because, you know, they're looking for perjury traps. Or does that just make it worse, and is he in real trouble?
I think it makes it worse. It's even a curious way in which you wonder.
Okay, you hear that? That's enough. There's criticism of Fauci on CNN. See how things change? There's criticism of Fauci and what he did. See, there's a change. You know, the country has changed in this last year and a half. Don't you understand that? You know, you see it with Trump. The criticism of Trump is rather fringe a lot of times, isn't it? Yeah, and when you hear even the slightest criticism like his legal strategy on CNN, I have never heard a negative word about Fauci from one of their staffers like that. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Lisa. I'm calling from New Jersey.
Hey, Lisa.
Hi, Brian. Love your show.
Thank you.
But I'm calling up to talk about Fauci.
Yeah.
Because I watched some of the hearing yesterday, and I have to tell you, I got sick.
Yeah, me too.
Just watching him and listening to him because, you know, me working in the medical field during COVID, my mom in a nursing home, and what my family went through, I just feel like he should be held accountable, but I personally don't think he would.
Of course not. No. I mean, he's got that auto pin pardon, which will never be overturned. Even if it was, that decision would get reversed by some Democrat. I mean, you know, they have this guy up on a godlike pedestal on the left. And when I was watching the hearings and those Democrats would come on, I had to mute the television. I couldn't listen to them. It was disgusting. When you look at what this guy's done, you know, and for them to praise him with everything he's done, I don't know how they look at themselves.
You know what? I don't know how neither. You know, my mom, we put her in a nursing home in 2019, closer so she can be closer to my sister. And then we were just getting ready to celebrate her 100th birthday.
Wow.
And here the lockdowns came. So I know what it was like.
So what happened? So your mom's approaching 100. She's in a nursing home. The lockdowns came. So what happened? Could you visit her?
Well, what happened was the lockdowns came, and we had just planned a party for her. So the lockdowns came, and, you know, we didn't know what was going on. The letters came out to all the nursing homes, you know, with Governor Phil Murphy, you know, oh, you can't sue, you can't, they can't deny people coming from the hospital going into the nursing home. So what happened is that my mom fell. My mom was such a bright woman. She walked. She loved going out, even at her age. And she fell in the nursing home. She fractured her hip.
Oh.
And we couldn't go in to see her.
Oh, my goodness. Did you try?
And so then...
Did you try?
Well, what happened is that we started to FaceTime. They said, oh, you can FaceTime her.
Oh, my goodness.
So then she started coughing. The nursing home was saying she had a fever.
Oh, my God.
She, you know, so I told my sister, I said, okay, did they test her for COVID? And the nursing home said, the nurse said, no, they didn't test her, that the cough ended up being pneumonia, and that was from her being bedbound.
Exactly.
I said, no. I said, I understand that.
Yeah.
I said, but I want her tested for COVID. Yep. And sure enough, they had no choice but to test her. She came out positive. From March, my mom passed away May 11th, the day after Mother's Day.
Oh, my goodness.
I went to the nursing home. They wouldn't let me in. I said, oh, no. I had my gear on because I'm a medical assistant, so I had everything prepared for me.
Yep.
I said, you know what? I said, I'm going up to see her.
Yeah.
I said, you can call the cops. I said, but I'm going up to see my mother. And when I went upstairs, I just couldn't believe the way I saw everything. Trust me. That's something I think about every day.
Well, think about all the seniors around the world, how they suffered, died alone, neglected. You know, liberals are sick.
They did.
They're sick. You know, I remember in New York, I remember seeing the police go into this house because there were too many people inside the house. And the police came in and they were Jews, and they came in and drug them out, and and the body camera footage came out. I mean, it was, what was one of the things that, and I'm sorry for your loss and experience. That's god awful. Looking back, it's so frightening how the police complied, right? I mean, with these
Right.
insane things, they just complied and did terrible things, and it really, you learned a lot about how the Holocaust happened, how people in the government complied, and the things that they did, like that, like you experienced, and
Right.
When I was watching that hearing yesterday, it was pretty emotional to me. I didn't have an experience anything like you, but I kind of blocked out that time and all the things that happened. And I was thinking about the people in the hospitals and nursing homes that were dying alone because they wouldn't. These hospital staffers would take a break from making their TikTok dance videos, wouldn't let families in, and it's sick. And Fauci, I saw no regret or shame from Fauci yesterday. Zero.
No,
In fact, he was pissed off that how dare
I
you
have
question
no
him.
feeling for that man.
No,
Yeah,
and you shouldn't.
It's just just sad.
Well, listen,
So
I'll
will he
tell
be
you.
held accountable.
He will be held accountable,
so, but-
but not by us. The Lord above will hold him accountable because if he did seem he was angry that they were questioning him. He did look nervous because his hands were shaking when the lawyer left, and he was ticked off that he's embarrassed about the diary being out there. There's no doubt about that. But he has no shame for anything like that he did to many millions of people like you. Listen, I'm out of time. Thanks for the call.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking my call.
Okay, take care. Wow, what an experience. Tomorrow is Open Mega Mike Friday. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. See you then. Take care. I'm going to take one or two quick calls after the show before I go, guys, okay? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian from Deerfield.
Hey, Brian.
Hi, Brian. How are you today?
All right.
The memories with this Fauci, what we saw yesterday was a disgrace. And the memories are so fresh, like by your prior caller and how she recounted her mother. This is very fresh in the people's minds. And I to think this guy is just going to walk free from all this, and how many people suffered at his hands, either through somebody passing away or just the schools closed, and this guy affected every part of our communities and everything.
Yeah.
And yesterday was an outrage. It was just a disgrace, and I think people are going to be. I don't know. Is this could be another inflection point where we've had enough of this? This guy just walks down.
Well, it's a different country today, and the country is much more conservative than it was a year and a half ago.
Yes, it is.
And I think there's an awareness, but Fauci will never be held accountable. He got that pardon will always hold up, and he'll always have Democrats running interference and protecting him.
Well, it's an outrage. I hope it goes a long way to the demise of the Democratic Party. But watching that guy testify yesterday, and like I said, I almost barely survived this. I had to be rushed to North Broward Hospital and everything to survive this, and I look at it did. But this guy and the arrogance, and you can see it on his face. It's not a good thing.
The one thing about COVID, I'm sure I've mentioned this on the air before, but if not, it's been a while. Worldwide, I don't know of any major world leader that got it and died.
Right.
Do you?
No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And they're all ancient. I always thought that was interesting.
Yeah. It is interesting. No, I can't think of any world leader that passed away from the COVID.
And they're ancient.
And this is a global phenomenon.
Yeah. So why is that?
Well, that's a good question.
Isn't it?
Yeah, you wonder, Mm-hmm. Somebody knows something?
Yeah.
Somebody knows something. It sure sounds like it, but a total outrage. I'm glad some of these guys are able to take him down in public and embarrass him, but that's not really enough. I have a quick comment on Amy Coney Barrett.
Yeah, please.
there was so much anticipation of her becoming a Supreme Court justice. She was, I believe, dean of the University of Notre Dame Law School and everything, expecting the world from her. They get to the bench there, and I think it's another world. I'm not sure she was prepared for what she was walking into.
Well, there's a couple things in play.
Court.
There's a couple things in play. You know, you don't get a presidential appointment unless you're politically connected, right? For these federal judgeships. Right. And once you're on the Supreme Court, you don't have to kiss any butt anymore, and you get to see what they really think a lot of times. You know, a lot of times they're, you know, like Sandra Day O'Connor, appointed by Reagan, was like a liberal up there, right? You know, and she was, you know, so they get there, they don't have to kiss butt anymore, and then you get to see what they're really like. There's a lot of that, and you're right. The powers that be, because their decisions affect the big money people.
You know, as bad as when you're top guy in the Supreme Court, in this case, John Roberts, and then all of a sudden you find out he's not what he was supposed to be either. Yeah, it's very disappointing.
Yeah, that's right. Well, listen, I gotta run. I'm short on time.
Okay, Brian. Okay. Have a great day.
All right, take care. I'll take one more call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Nick. I'm calling from Florida.
Yeah, Nick.
How are you today, sir?
I'm doing well. What's on your mind?
Just the whole hearing with Dr. Fauci.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he really got caught in a web of lies, didn't he? He can't even...
he wouldn't see it that way. He wouldn't see it that way. That guy is so crazed and sadistic and insane.
Oh yeah. This is the biggest wool over our eyes hoax that's ever been pulled.
I don't think so. I think everybody knows, but there's not anything that really can be done about it. Right? The people behind it are so powerful and influential that
Brian, let me ask you a quick question. I've lost family members and divided because of this whole COVID.
Mm-hmm.
When it first broke, I lived in Colorado, okay, and I know different states had different regulations of their own to combat COVID. Some people shut everything down.
Yeah.
Some people. So when I lived in Colorado, my whole life got ruined. I became, in that span of the COVID shutdown, I lost my job, lost my fiance, lost my home, became homeless for almost 6 months, all because of this nonsense. I was the only one in my family outside of my mother that pretty much said, this is a joke. Everyone was running to get the vaccine. Everyone. All my family members that actually got the vaccine, guess what happened to them? They all got COVID. But what they said was COVID, but here's the kicker. All of them were getting, like, violently sick. Guess who the only person...
Well, listen, I'm not trying to cut you short, but I have to run because this is the post show, and I got a doctor's appointment I got to run to. So I'm short on time. But you call me again, and you're very welcome to call in, and I'll tell you, I was lucky to be in Florida, where the free state of Florida. You're in some liberal hellhole like Colorado, and Dr. Birx made a good point. This quote that came out from Dr. Birx, it's in the news today, that the blue states had to oppose Trump, so they clamped down on people so hard, and people are dead because of the partisanness of the Trump derangement syndrome suffering blue state leaders, right? And you were in Colorado, which is pretty blue, and it's pretty sad. Call me again, though.
I live in Florida now. I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I live in Florida now, and I tell you what, Brian, I still advocate every day that what the Democrats did and what they are trying to do now, it's ludicrous, and just
listen.
People
these psycho people killed Charlie Kirk. They shot the president in Butler. I mean, these are evil people we're dealing with. But I do have to run. But call me again.
Brian, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it, sir.
All right, take care, guys. Yeah. I got a doctor's appointment that I gotta go to. So I got to take off. The rest of you want to hold, I'm sorry, but call tomorrow. Tomorrow, remember, is Open MAGA Mike Friday. Every Friday on the program is open phones. You can call in about anything and everything on your mind on Friday's show. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I'll see you. Take care.